A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, a true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Chief Cody and Tim. They have just left Mushnoski's apartment after finding that he has not been home all day, but finding during their visit a very incriminating piece of evidence that may closely link Mushnoski with a case of the counterfeit plates. They saw a pair of tweed pants that seemed to match the tweed coat the plates were wrapped in that Mushnoski and Tim found at the bottom of the river. But before we learn the next thrilling development, here's an important message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's join Chief Cody and Tim as they speed across town from the Dulcimer Street apartment of Mushnoski toward their overdue appointment with Sergeant McGurk at police headquarters. The Chief and Tim have made a rather disturbing discovery in the living room of Mush's apartment. And Tim is saying to Chief Cody,
Gee, Chief, do you think maybe we ought to have taken that pair of tweed pants for Sergeant McGurk to examine?
That's police business, Tim. Nothing for the fire department to get into. We'll tell McGurk about it, of course, but from then on, it's up to him.
Yes, sir, but... Well, it does look bad for Mush, doesn't it?
It doesn't look good, Hooksy. We find a set of counterfeit plates lying at the bottom of the river wrapped in a brown tweed coat.
Yes, sir, and then we visit Mushnoski's place and find what looks like the pants that match the coat.
Yeah. And we know that a man by the name of Mushnoski is mixed up in the counterfeit ring.
Yes, sir, but it may be some other Mushnoski. How do we know it's the one we know?
Well, that's the one thing I'm hoping, Hooksy. That the guy who owns that coat and those pants is another Mushnoski. Yeah, but how to prove it is another matter.
Oh, gee, that ought to be simple, sir. Just find him and ask him.
Yeah, that would be very simple, only he seems to be missing at the moment.
Yeah, I wonder what's got into the guy busting off like that. Say, Chief, what about his cousin? He has a cousin, I know. Maybe
do you know his cousin's name by any chance?
Well, no, sir. I never heard him say. He's always been pretty vague about his family.
It wouldn't be Stanislaus, would it?
Gee, you got me. Why?
Well, that's the name of the Mushnoski that McGurk's been tailing, he says. The guy he thinks may have dropped the plates in the river.
Well, then if it is, what's he so anxious to see Mush for?
Well, that name is too uncommon to go unnoticed in a situation like this. Especially when our man suddenly pulls a disappearing act. He thinks there's a connection. From the shape of things right now, he may be right.
Oh, gee, if we could only find Mush, I know he'd have an explanation.
Well, all I've got to say is he'd better. Meanwhile, there's police headquarters, and we've got a little interview on our hands. I sure hate to think what McGurk's going to say when he learns Mushnoski is missing.
Chief Cody and Tim lose no time mounting the stairs to the detective's quarters. As they enter the room, they're greeted by the voice of Sergeant McGurk.
Hello, Chief. You're late. Where's your man, Mushnoski? Now, take it easy, McGurk. We haven't located him yet. We stopped at his apartment, but he hasn't been home.
That's bad. Any idea where he might be?
Well, he may have gone back to the rescue station. I'm going to check by phone.
You better do that. I want to see that man. Strikes me as mighty strange that the man who finds the plates at the bottom of the river and the man who we're pretty sure dropped them there are both named Mushnoski.
I'll give rescue a ring right away.
Here's the phone. Meanwhile, there's a few questions I'd like to ask Collins here. You're the one that brought the plates up, aren't you?
That's right. You see, I was down on a practice dive.
Now, see here, McGurk. Collins knows nothing about this thing. He was simply carrying out instructions.
But he was working closely with Mushnoski, wasn't he?
That's right, but the kid's clear. Now, take my word for it. I'm not saying anything about Mushnoski because I don't know yet. But Collins is okay. Now, I'll vouch for that.
Okay, we'll let Collins go for now. But get Mushnoski.
Operator, get me the fire rescue station. Oh, hello. Is that you, Mike? Chief Cody, listen. Has Moshnowski reported in there? Okay, check and hurry. Yeah? Yeah, I see. No, that's all for now. Thanks, Mike. Well, he reported in with the diving equipment a couple of hours ago and left.
Oh, where did he say he was going, Chief?
Home.
See? But, gee, we just came from there.
Well, Chief, it looks like your man Moshnowski is taking a powder.
Yeah, as much as I hate to admit it, it does. And I don't like it. Especially after...
Especially after what, Chief?
Especially after what we just discovered over in his apartment.
What's that?
You know that tweed coat the plates were wrapped in?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah. Well, if you'll drop in at 113 Dulcimer Street, I think you'll find the tweed pants that match that coat.
Good gosh, man, why didn't you tell me before? That's an important clue.
I'm telling you in time, they're still there. Don't worry.
This may be the thing we need to break this case.
I was hoping we'd find Moshnowski and let him supply some of the answers, but now it looks like you're going to have to dig them up yourself, McGurk.
Don't worry, I will. I'm on my way to Dulcimer Street right now.
What about Moshnowski? You're still going to need him, tweed pants or no tweed pants.
I'll find him. If it takes every man on the force, I'll find him.
I still can't believe one of my men is tangled up with a counterfeit gang. I still believe it may be another Moshnowski. But to find out for sure, we've got to find Mush. So if there's anything we can do, just let me know.
Right, Chief. I'll see you later.
Oh, McGurk, before you go.
Yeah?
There's an old lady at Dulcimer Street, Mush's mother. Now, she knows nothing about this, I'm sure. Try to be a little easier on her, won't you?
Why, sure, Chief. Make it as easy as I can.
Well, thanks. She thinks the world of her son.
When Sergeant McGurk said he'd find Moshnowski if it took every man on the force, he meant just that. But sometimes finding a man isn't so easy, especially if that man doesn't want to be found. And apparently Moshnowski didn't want to be found. 3 days have gone by now, and Sergeant McGurk and his men have scoured every block of the city. But Mush is still missing. Down at fire headquarters, Tim is talking the situation over with Chief Cody.
You know, Chief, I still don't think Mush is guilty of anything.
I don't know, Hooksy. I thought so, too, until he turned up missing. Now I'm not so sure.
But the tweed pants turned out to belong to his cousin.
Yeah, that's cleared up at any rate. Now McGurk's looking for Mush and his cousin.
I have a feeling that Mush is afraid. He probably knows his cousin's mixed up with a counterfeit gang, and he's scared the police will implicate him, too.
How do we know he isn't in cahoots with his cousin?
I just can't believe it, Chief, knowing Mush as I do. Gee, if only I could find him, I know I could get him to clear up the whole business.
Yeah, but how to find him? That's the problem. Sergeant McGurk can't.
Look, Chief, I've had an idea for some time now. An idea that, if it works, may bring Moshnowski out of hiding.
Yeah? What's that, Hooksy?
Well, Mush is a smoke eater from way back, isn't he?
One of the best.
Yes, sir. And when a real smoke eater hears the wagons roll, it does something to him, doesn't it?
Never fails to make my blood sing no matter where I am.
Well, that's where my idea comes in, sir. I have reason to believe Mush is hiding out somewhere in his old neighborhood.
Could be. McGurk thinks so, although we can't find him. What are you driving at?
Well, Chief, here's my plan. The next time there's a fire around Dulcimer Street, I want to ride when they roll. And when the crowd gathers, I want to be there. For I've got a hunch Mush, unable to resist a fire, will be somewhere in the crowd watching.
Yeah, good idea, Tim. Until further notice, you're pulled off rescue service and assigned to headquarters company. And the next time there's a fire in the Dulcimer Street district, you can try your plan.
Yes, sir. We've got to find Mush and clear him of this mess. And this is the only way I know how.
Next afternoon at headquarters, the opportunity Tim has been waiting for comes. A call taps in. Tim listens intently.
That's it. 131, the Dulcimer Street District. Let's roll!
The fire on Dulcimer Street was a routine one, a small trash fire in an alleyway. But the usual crowd gathers, surging and milling around the big fire trucks. After the blaze is out, Chief Cody comes up to Tim, who was standing near the edge of the crowd, and says,
Well, Hooksy, it looks like your plan didn't work, but it was a good try anyway.
Yes, sir. I searched every face in this crowd. I was sure this would bring him... Wait a minute, Chief.
Yeah, Tim?
Over there. In that doorway. It's Mush.
You're right, Hooksy, it is. After him before he gets away.
Well, Tim's plan for smoking out Mushnosky worked after all. But now the question is, can he get to him before he melts away in the crowd? To learn if Tim does catch him and what Mushnosky's reaction will be sure to listen to the next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here is a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody. You know, one of the biggest causes of fire in the home is from the use of inflammable liquids for cleaning. Now, if you or your parents do use gasoline or other inflammable cleaning fluids, be sure to use them outdoors. Under no circumstances in a closed room or near an open flame. Cleanliness is a virtue, but safety is a greater one when it comes to using cleaning fluids. Well, that's all for now. You'll be hearing from me again soon.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go!
Let's go! Firefighters!
The Jack Benny Program, presented by Lucky Strike. LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Just listen to the words of tobacco warehouseman George Webster.
At market after market, I've seen the makers of Lucky Strike buy fine tobacco that makes one grand smoke.
William Curran, tobacco auctioneer, said,
For years and years, I've seen the makers of Lucky Strike buy tobacco that's just chock full of smoke and enjoyment. Smoked Lucky's myself for 23 years.
Friends, independent tobacco experts can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco. Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, and fine tobacco means real deep-down smoking enjoyment for you. Remember, LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingstone, Phil Harris, Dennis Day, the Sportsman's Quartet, and yours truly, Rochester Van Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, it isn't usually my place to introduce the star of our show, but today it's worth $5 to me, so here he is, Jack Benny.
Thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking, and folks, Rochester, you can go now.
But, boss, don't you want me to stay here and do some jokes like Don Wilson?
No, Rochester. See, you're not fat enough.
Well, $5 introduction ain't gonna make me no Sidney Greenstreet.
Rochester, are you dissatisfied with our financial agreement?
Well...
Look, if you're unhappy, you know my policy. Anybody that works for me can talk to me about anything at any time.
I know, but as soon as anybody mentions money, you turn down the volume on your hearing aid.
What?
Last time I asked for a raise, you faded me for 25 seconds.
I didn't fade you. It was done by my vice president in charge of finances. And anyway, this is the last time. This program is starting out like Fred Allen's. And anyway, this is the last time I'm going to use you as an announcer. Your voice is too hoarse and rough.
Oh, it ain't my fault, boss. My voice was nice and smooth.
What?
My voice.
Oh, I thought that my vice. I didn't know what to do.
You know, my voice was nice and smooth till I had my appendix taken out.
Appendix? What's your appendix got to do with your voice?
Long vocal cords.
Well, I guess I've gotten as much out of that $5 as I can. Oh, hello, Mary.
Hello, Jack. Well, Jack, here it is, the last program of the season.
That's right, Mary, and boy, am I glad to. I need a vacation.
Oh, Jack, you haven't been working so hard. You don't need a vacation.
I do, too. But anyway, Mary, since this is the last show, how about giving me a big kiss?
Okay.
Come on. There, how was that?
You're right, Jack. You need a vacation.
Wait a minute, sister. You may not think I'm good, but in my act at the Roxy, I do a kissing scene with Marjorie Reynolds, and she loves it. Especially when I put my arms around her.
Yes, I know. Marjorie told me about that, and she wants me to ask you something.
What?
Well, Marjorie wants to know if you...
What, Mary?
Well, Marjorie wants to know if...
Marjorie wants to know what?
Well, she wants to know if you used to wrestle with alligators for a living.
Oh, stop. Anyway, Mary, I'll miss you this summer. But I'll be looking forward to next fall when we'll all be together again.
Oh, do you want me back on your program next season, Jack?
I certainly do.
Well, then I'd like to talk to you about an increase in salary.
Go right ahead.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now cut that out! You know, sometimes you carry a thing too far.
Hiya, Jackson. Hello, Livy. I'm looking at the world through rose-colored eyes. Hello, Phil.
Phil, what are you so happy about?
Well, gee whiz, Jackson. Why shouldn't I be happy? Last Sunday, I made radio history. I was on 3 shows.
3 shows?
Yeah, sure. I was on your show, I was on my own show, and I was on Fred Allen's show. The only one who missed me was Edgar Bergen.
Bergen doesn't need you. He's got Mortimer Snurd. And compared to you, Mortimer Snurd is a doctor of philosophy.
Well, I'm glad you told me, Jackson. If I ever catch philosophy, I'll give him a buzz.
Yeah, do that.
But still, doing 3 shows a day must be an awful strain. And after all, what's more important, money or your health?
Money or your health? Well, hey, what do you think, Jackson?
She's asking you. And anyway, Phil, why do you have to go around trying to make more money?
Because you don't pay us enough.
What?
Sure, that's why Dennis Day had to get another show. That's why I had to get another show. And that's why Don Wilson has got 4 shows.
What about Mary? She's only got 1 show.
Yeah, and look how thin she is.
Look, don't blame me for a tight girdle, will you?
Now, wait a minute, Jack. What I wear has nothing to do with...
Hello, Miss Livingston.
Oh, hello, Dennis.
Gee, it's good to see you all again. How are you feeling, Mr. Benny?
How
are you doing at the Roxy Theater?
Oh, business is...
Did you have a nice trip from Chicago?
It was pretty
good. Did
good.
you really break the box office record there? Gee, it's our last show, and he won't even talk to me.
Dennis, I will talk if you'll only give me a chance. Now, what have you been doing since you've been in New York?
How are you, Miss Livingston?
Dennis, I asked you something. I mean, what have you been doing in New York?
Oh, I went to see some shows and visited relatives.
Oh, what shows did you see?
I couldn't get in.
Well, how were your relatives?
I don't know. They were at the shows.
What are you talking about?
Say, Dennis, I didn't know you had relatives in New York.
I don't. They live in Newark, New Jersey. So last night I rented a car and drove under the Hudson River, and it was awfully damp. Gee, did I get wet.
Wet? Why, was there a leak in the tunnel?
Oh, tunnel!
That's it. Come on, Dennis, let's have your song.
Okay. I can't get up the nerve to kiss you the way I kiss you in my dreams. I can't make up my mind to leave my fears behind, try to carry out my scheme. I spend an hour each day rehearsing what to say, but practice doesn't pay, it seems. I can't get up the nerve to kiss you the way I kiss you in my dreams. I spend an hour each day rehearsing what to say, but practice doesn't pay, it I can't get up the nerve to kiss you the way I kiss you in my
Get Up the Nerve to Kiss You, sung by Dennis Day. Very good, Dennis.
Thanks. Oh, say, Mr. Benny, I meant to ask you, how's Mr. Allen?
Who?
Fred Allen.
Well, kid, it was nice seeing you again.
No, Phil. In fact, I'm glad he brought it up. But, Dennis, I'm happy to tell you that Fred Allen has the same old program, the same old jokes, the same
Oh, wait a minute, Jack. That's not fair. I've heard all of Fred's programs. They've been very funny.
Mary, I wouldn't mind if his jokes just laid there. But they crawl out of the radio and stain your rugs. Some program.
That just shows what you know, Jackson. I think the funniest thing in radio is Allen's Alley.
Oh, you do, eh?
Yeah. I think so, too.
Oh, you do, eh?
I think Mr. Benny is much funnier than Mr. Allen.
I think so, too.
You do, eh?
Yes, I do. And what's so great about Allen's Alley? Anybody with half an ounce of talent can do that.
Oh, yeah? I'd like to see you do it.
Well, I'll just show you, sister. Phil, get your band ready while I put this clothespin on my nose so I'll sound like Fred Allen. Now, I'll go down to the alley, and you kids will play the parts of the people that live there. Okay, Phil, music.
And so, Kenny Delmar, I won't say it's been raining here in New York, but last night...
Oh, Mr. Allen! Mr. Allen!
Well, if it isn't Cleveland. Beware. Cleveland, Kenny and I were just discussing the rains we've been having here in New York.
Well, Mama says that all the rain here in New York was caused by Al Jolson.
Al Jolson?
Yes, he was singing April Showers and had 2 clouds left over.
Oh.
And Mama also said...
I don't know. You write this stuff on Thursday, it's raining. Then on Sunday, the sun shines and you're dead. What else is new with your mother, Cleveland?
Well, Mama says that from now on she's going to stop wearing slacks.
Stop wearing slacks? Why?
A policeman gave her a ticket for pulling a trailer without a license.
Well, so much for your mother and her homegrown bustle. We've got to get down to Benny's Boulevard.
What is your question for tonight?
Our question is Fred Allen or Jack Benny the better comedian?
Shall we leave?
As one of my eyes said to the other, let's pack our bags and go. Nice to be back in Allen's Alley, Cleveland. And I see Senator Harris is home. There's a 10-gallon hat and a 5-gallon jug on the porch. Let's knock on the bunghole and see what he's got to say.
Somebody, I say somebody not.
Yes.
Harris is the name. Senator Harris, that is. I'm from the West.
From the West,
When I'm east of the Mississippi River, I'm in enemy territory.
Look, Senator.
I hate the East. My favorite actress is Mae West.
Look.
No man living can make me see East wind. I never go out of the house on Easter Sunday.
Senator.
When I bake bread, I won't use yeast.
That's yeast.
I thought that'd get a rise out of you.
Now, look, Senator, if you...
Speak up, son. What you got on your mind? It's a free country.
Well, I
never
trying.
saw anyone like you, son. Your mouth wide open, but your tongue's just laying there.
You're tired, eh? Well, Senator, the question tonight is, who is the better comedian? Fred Allen or Jack Benny?
I brought it up in the Senate. Now watch this one, son. It's tricky. I brought it up in the Senate, and it made Senator Tidings glad. Glad tidings. That's a pun, son.
I heard it.
That's an anecdote, you nanny goat.
Now, wait a minute. Just tell me which comedian you like better, Allen or Benny?
Where's Allen from?
Boston.
How about Benny?
He's from Waukegan.
Waukegan's west of Boston, ain't it?
Yeah.
Benny's the one. So long, son.
So long.
So long.
So long.
So long, Benny.
Where's that sound again? Always late. Late. Well, I suppose the senator's gone back to his newspaper. Spends all night reading Westbrook Pegler. I wonder if Titus Day is at his home. Always so moody.
Howdy, Bub.
Well, Mr. Day, I see you're at home.
Yep, day in and day out, days in.
Yeah, but you're saying your eyes look all red.
Been crying, Bob, reading a sad book.
What's the title of it?
Forever Amber.
Titus, Forever Amber isn't a sad book.
'Tis when you're my age, Bob.
Oh, I see. Well, I have a very important question to ask you tonight. Who do you think is the better comedian? Fred Allen or Jack Benny?
Well, I never hear 'em myself. When they come on, I put my radio out in the hen house.
In the hen house? Why?
Steps up production. Every time Allen and Benny lay an egg, my hens try to match it.
And that really increases your egg production?
Yep, did up to last Sunday.
What happened last Sunday?
All my hens killed themselves straining. Well, so long, Bob.
Trouble just like city folk. Let's try this next house.
Howdy doody.
Well, Mr. Newsbound.
You were expecting maybe Myro Dwyer?
No. Well, Mr. Newsbound, do you listen to the radio? Mr. Newsbound, I'm trying to find out who do you think is the better comedian, Fred Allen or Jack Benny?
In mine house, that is making arguments. My wife, Pansy, is liking Fred Allen.
And you?
I am liking Duffy's tempo.
I see.
When Duffy is broadcasting, Pansy is leaving the room.
Uh-huh.
When Fred Allen is broadcasting, I am leaving the room.
What happens when Jack Benny is broadcasting?
The radio is leaving the room. Thank you.
Well, let's see if Dennis Cassidy is at home. Well, Dennis Cassidy, how do you feel today?
Oh, terrible. The other day I went out to Brooklyn, sat myself down in Ebbets Field and started cheering for the Giants.
Cheering for the Giants in Brooklyn? What happened?
I'm not long for this world.
I just dropped in to ask you a question. Who do you think is the better comedian, Fred Allen or Jack Benny?
Well, no, I wouldn't be known. The only program I listen to is A Day in the Life of an Irish Lad on Wednesday night.
You mean you like Dennis Day?
As my next-door neighbor would say, hoo-hoo-hoo.
I know what you mean. But my question is, who's the better comedian, Fred Allen or Jack Benny?
Without a moment's hesitation, I picked Jack Benny because to me he's the greatest comedian in the whole world.
Well, and why did you pick Jack Benny?
Because this is our last program of the season. I want to be back next year.
What? I wish that kid wouldn't be so clever on a night my sponsors would be. Well, look, Cleveland. Here's a new house built at the end of the alley. I wonder who lives there. I beg your pardon, sir.
Well, that's quite all right, old man. Go around to the back and I'll give you something to eat.
It certainly is a surprise finding you here.
Yeah. Look, Jack, you can cut out the imitation. Stop holding your nose. I'm here now.
I know. That's why I'm holding it.
I got the first one in anyway. You know, you look better with the clothespin on. Why, you ghoul, if you were 30 years younger, I'd punch you right in the eye.
What, you'd hit a kid of 7?
Now, listen, Benny. When you were 7, Sarah Bernhardt broke the attendance record at the Roxy. And she didn't have Rochester with her either. Now, tell me, what are you doing down here in Allen's Alley?
Well, if you want to know, I'm conducting a poll. What are you doing here?
Jack, if I told you why I'm here, the real, honest-to-goodness truth, cross my heart and hope to look like Jessel, the real truth, you wouldn't believe it.
Yes, I would. Why did you come?
to louse up your program.
Fred, don't be greedy. You're lousing up your own program. Isn't that enough?
Now, wait a minute, Jack. Let's not argue. After all, this is your last program of the season. You're going off the air.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I go off the air every year at this time. My sponsor thinks I should have a vacation.
Well, confidentially, Jack, that isn't the real reason. Your sponsor knows that your material won't keep in the summer. Even printing the scripts on dry ice won't do it. You and oysters get a little gamey with the hot weather.
Well, I remember a broadcast you did that was so bad it corroded the 6th Avenue L. Not only that.
Now, wait a minute, Benny. I have a surprise for you. I have some friends of yours visiting
Can't even
me.
read.
Well, you're so cheap, I didn't think you hired more than one person at a time. I didn't plural in the script here. I have some friends of yours visiting me here in the alley.
Some friends of mine?
Yes. Hey, fellas, come out here.
Boys, what are you doing here? Well, I'm glad you're here because I'm conducting a poll to find out who's the better comedian, Fred Allen or Jack Benny.
Yes, so speak up, boys. Who gets your vote?
The man that we vote for is F.B. Boone. He sells cigarettes morning, night, and noon. About him we are wild.
He is fine and he's light and he's naturally mild.
The man that he works with is speedy rigs. From golden tobacco he makes penny twigs while they're planting. They'll be chanting. You can hear them from Mobile to Scranton. So yes, indeed, our vote goes to Speedy and Boone.
Say, that's very good.
Certainly is, isn't it?
Oh, well, oh, well,
Wait a minute,
oh, well,
fellas. Now, that's what we want. Boys, please. Boys, wait a minute. Wait a minute, boys. Boys, wait a minute, boys.
Wait a minute, boys! Wait a minute! Boys, wait a minute!
Come on, Cleveland. We've been here at Allen's Alley long enough. Let's get out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, since this is our last program of the season, I'd like to present a young comedian who's going to take my place this summer. I first met this young man 2.5 years ago in the South Pacific. He was in uniform, entertaining his fellow GIs, and I thought he was great. The next time I saw him was after the war. We had lunch together, and I knew he had a sense of humor because when I paid the check, he laughed as I put my hand into his pocket. And here he is, Jack Parr.
Thank you very much, Jack.
You're welcome. And, Jack, I want you to know that after we had lunch that day, I realized that you had a certain talent that wasn't to be ignored. So I went to my sponsor and asked him to give you the summer job.
Well, Jack, I felt the same way about you.
You did?
Yes, I too noticed that you had a certain talent, so I went to my tailor and had him sew up my pockets, you see.
Well, that's quick thinking, Jack. But look, this isn't television. If we keep calling each other Jack, people will get confused. So I'll call you Jack, and you can call me.
I can tell him what to call you. I'd give $1 million if we weren't on the air, right?
Fred. Don't listen to him, Jack. Just call me Mr. Benny.
All right, Mr. Benny. Isn't that Fred Allen?
Yes.
I listen to his program every Sunday.
Well, don't apologize. That happens to a lot of people. They listen to me and forget to turn the radio off after I'm through, you see?
Well, how can they? They're asleep.
They are not.
Now, there is a clever ad lib for you. They are not. That shows what happens when you catch Mr. Benny with his writers down.
Mr. Allen, did you say writers?
Certainly.
You mean that when Mr. Benny's on the radio, he doesn't just make that stuff up?
Make that stuff up? Jack, listen, son. Last year, for 2 weeks, Benny slept in the lobby of the Sherry Netherlands Hotel. He couldn't ad-lib, "I'd like a room, please."
What are you talking about? I ad-libbed that once, and it cost me $12 a day. So go be clever. Now, look, Pa, do you have any plans about what you're going to do starting next week when you take over my show?
Well, I don't know too much, Jack, but I just made sure that I have a very funny script, and I'm going to get a lot of laughs.
Laughs? What kind of laughs?
Big laughs.
Big laughs? Fred.
Yeah?
Come here a minute.
Yeah, you mean that there was... Well, I think you're right, Jack.
Look, kid. Have you ever tried any dramatic stuff?
Dramatic? Gee, I don't know. I haven't even thought about doing anything serious.
Yeah.
What I had in mind was to come out with a fast opening and say, "How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jack Parr. A funny thing happened to me on the way to the studio today. I crossed the street against the light and stepped right in front of a taxi cab."
Wait, weren't you afraid the cab would hit you?
Of course not. Everybody knows a cab is yellow. Oh, Parr, you may not have a meter on you. Oh, Parr, you may not have a meter on you, but you're sure ticking tonight.
No, Parr, no. Those are the kind of jokes Phil Harris uses. See, that won't get you anywhere.
How come I got him 2 shows?
Because he doesn't want to be thin like Mary, you see? Now, it's no use, Fred. Instead of fooling around here, let's really try and help Jack Parr get started on his new career.
Well, I guess you're right, Jack, and I don't mind helping a new comedian. After all, I can't live forever.
What about me?
You already have.
Fred, if you're going to give the kid advice, give it to him, will you, please?
Very well. Now, first of all, Jack, radio is a very good
Call
business.
him son. They're getting it mixed
Son,
up.
I get it. The radio is a very good business if you... I'm starting to sound like Rochester here. Radio is a very good business, son, and you're getting into it at the right time. Because nowadays, if you make good in radio, you go to television. If you're slipping, you go to the Roxy.
Yes, for 2 weeks.
And, kid, the next bit of advice I want to give you is the most important of all. Now, one of the worst things that can happen to a radio comedian is to have his program faded off the air.
Mr. Allen, you were cut off the air a few weeks ago, weren't you?
Me cut off the air?
Yes, for 25 seconds.
Oh, no. People misunderstood. You see, I've been in radio for 15 years. And to show its appreciation, NBC, that big-hearted organization, gave me those 25 seconds as a vacation. With pay, of course. I had a wonderful time. I hiked to the water cooler, built a campfire in a Dixie cup, roasted an old script and popped all the corn. Gad, what a tan I had when I got back.
That isn't what Mr. Benny told me.
Well, what did Mr. Benny tell you?
Well, he said the NBC has a man sitting at master controls, and his job is to see that the right person comes on at the right time. And when you got a laugh, the control man was so startled, he thought he had the wrong program and pulled the switch.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, I've got to run along now, fellas. Thanks very much for your advice, and I'll try my best to forget it.
Yes, do that. And before you leave, Jack Parr, I want to wish you a lot of luck on your summer show, and I hope that you'll be a great success.
Thank you very much.
And, Jack, if at any time you feel that you need some more help and you can't get me at home, you see, you can buy an album of my records, which are now on sale at your local music store. You see?
You'll also find them in the bagel slot at the Automat.
Yes. So long, Jack.
So long.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah?
Fred, I think this kid, Jack Parr, is going to be all right. But, gee, I wonder...
Jack, stop worrying. How can he hurt us on the radio?
What do you mean?
What has he got to make jokes about? He's young, has plenty of his own hair, doesn't wear bifocals.
That's right. Gee, and he hasn't got wrinkles in his face or bags under his eyes. He doesn't talk through his nose.
Or play the violin.
Yeah. We haven't got a thing to worry about. Come on, Fred. I'll take you over to the water cooler and buy you a drink.
Thanks. say this, ladies and gentlemen, but Jack will be back in just a minute. In the meantime, here is Basil Rysdale.
As you listen to the historic chant of the tobacco auctioneer, remember, LSMFT.
American.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And fine tobacco is what counts in a cigarette.
50 million pounds of tobacco bought and sold. That's the 21-year record of Harry R. King, independent tobacco buyer of Durham, North Carolina. He said,
at auction after auction, I've seen the makers of Lucky Strike buy real fine tobacco. Tobacco that smokes up smooth and mild. For a real smoke, I pick Lucky's. Smoked them for 18 years.
Independent tobacco experts like Mr. King can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco.
Fine, light, naturally mild tobacco. Real Lucky Strike tobacco.
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Yes.
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And fine tobacco means real, deep down smoking enjoyment for you.
So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Fred Allen for lousing up my show, and I'll try my best to do the same thing for him next week. This is our last broadcast of the season. We'll be back again in the fall. Of course, we're still at the Roxy Theater. Thanks for listening to us all season, and I know you'll enjoy Jack Parr very much during the summer. Thanks again, and good night.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting
Company. From Rexall. It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented by the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists.
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist, welcoming you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have added the word Rexall to their own store names. You know us by the orange and blue Rexall sign on our windows, and that sign means that we carry the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company. Each one scientifically compounded to do a job for you. Take Rexall's famous mouthwash, MI31, as an example. MI31 is a special antiseptic formula that kills contacted germs almost instantly when used full strength, yet will not harm delicate membranes of the mouth and throat. It's quality like that we family druggists are talking about when we tell you you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. And now your Rexall family druggist brings you the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. Written by Ray Singer and Dick Chevrolet, with Elliot Lewis, Walter Tetley, Robert North, Janine Roos, Ann Whitfield, Walter Sharp in his music, yours truly, Bill Foreman, and starring Alice Faye and Phil Harris. Mr. Scott of Rexall has asked Phil to call the band together so that he might address them on a matter of importance. It must be very important, for Mr. Scott has been talking to the boys for over 2 hours. And as we look in, he is just finishing his speech.
And in conclusion, gentlemen, I'd like to say that any resemblance between you and musicians is not only accidental, but downright malicious. Now then, are there any questions?
Yeah, who are you?
I'm Mr. Scott. I represent the 10,000 independent Rexall dealers who pay for this program, and I'm here to see that you do your best for Rexall. Now, any other questions?
What's a Rexall?
They must be pulling my leg. They can't be that stupid.
They can, too. Fellas, I'll explain what Rexall is. It's one of the world's foremost dispensers of pharmaceuticals. Furthermore, it's
That's enough, Harris. Their little minds are loused up enough without your explanation. I'll explain. A number of years ago, a group of druggists formed a company. They needed a title to identify themselves, and after many months, they came up with a grand old name. You know what they called it?
Hey,
Mary, Mary, Mary is a grand old name.
They didn't call it Mary.
They call it Gertrude.
They call it Rexall. Rexall.
That's a silly name for a dame.
Harris, please, you talk to them. My ulcer is starting to nudge me. or better yet, Mrs. Harris, you talk to them.
Please, Mr. Scott, you're asking me to lose my self-respect. They won't listen to anybody.
If they won't listen to anybody, how does Mr. Harris keep them in line?
Well, there's one way. He gets behind a curtain and says, "Now hear this. Now hear this. This is Petrillo speaking."
Does that work?
Well, that depends. If their union dues is paid, they ignore that, too.
Harris, as the leader of this band, it's up to you to see that they play properly, even if you have to teach them to read music.
Them guys know how to read music. And I'll show you. Artie, read what's on your music stand.
Abby rents $2 per day.
I mean the music. What does it say on the music?
Shermer's Book 1 for beginners.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Isn't there anyone in this orchestra who knows what he's doing?
Yes, there is. There is one man. My concert master, Mr. Remley.
Remley? Why, that no-talent slob...
Wait a minute. Now, just a minute, Mr. Scott. Don't knock Frankie. He's a pretty smart kid. He knows music.
Oh, we'll soon find out. Remley, read that music you have in front of you. Say please. All right, please read the music.
What music?
The sheet of paper you have in front of you. The one with the black dots.
That's music? I thought I was seeing spots in front of my eyes. I've been having my glasses changed every week.
Frankie, listen now, will you cut out the clowning? Now stop kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Now read your guitar part just the way I wrote it for you.
Very well, Maestro. It says when you hear noises coming from the other instruments, you'll know the number has started. Don't do nothing until the trombone player hits you in the back of the head. At which point you count 2, strum once, and put your guitar down before you get in trouble.
Harris, is that the way you write the music for them?
Yeah, I do all my own arranging. Of course, a little tough with the violin section. They can't read English, and I got to draw pictures.
Yes. No wonder these musicians don't know anything. They've got a leader who knows even less. If you learn to read music and play yourself, maybe...
Now, wait a minute. Just a minute, sir. I'm not only a fine instrumentalist, but I read music fluently.
You do, eh? Let's see you read this.
Very well. It's in the key of D flat, which has 5 flats, as in the Alla Brave tempo, with a fermata on the end chord, finishing with a big piatti.
I'll be darned, he did it.
I did it? Oh, hey, Alice, look at me. I can read music. Frankie, did you hear that? I read the music.
Exhibitionist. What are you trying to do, show the rest of us up?
I'm not trying to show nobody up. I'm just trying to
Gentlemen, please. I'm tired of all this bickering, and I want it to stop right now.
Oh, please, Mr. Scott, control yourself.
And nobody asked you to butt in. So sorry, Mrs. Harris. I didn't mean to shout at you.
What's wrong, Mr. Scott? You've been irritable all morning.
Yeah, what's up, Scotty? I hate to see you this way. Your usual miserable self.
I apologize, Mrs. Harris. I'm all upset. It's a personal problem at home.
Your wife can't stand you, huh?
Frank. can you say a thing like that about such a fine person as Mr. Scott? If he's having any trouble at home, it's because he can't stand his wife. She's probably a nag who spends all his money, runs around with other...
Wait a minute. I'm not having trouble with my wife. It's somebody else.
Your girlfriend, huh?
Oh, no, we get along splendidly. I'm having trouble with my daughter, Marjorie.
What's wrong?
Well, as you know, she's only 17, and she's fallen in love with a man of 40. There's 23 years difference in their ages, and she wants to marry him.
Well, what's so terrible about that? When I married Phil, there was 23 years difference in our ages.
The what?
Yeah. I happen to like older women.
Well, I don't mind the difference in their ages so much. It's just that this fellow is a fortune hunter, and he's after Marjorie's money.
She's got money, huh? I think I can help you, Mr. Scott. When this greedy fortune hunter comes around tomorrow night, tell him that Marjorie is already married.
But she isn't married.
We're eloping in the morning. You wouldn't object to your daughter marrying me, would you?
No, I wouldn't object. I'd just rather see her dead, that's all.
Who cares what you think? Have Marjorie meet me at her bank and we'll leave from there. And you can send what we can't carry, so we'll have enough...
Shut up! I'm sorry I mentioned the whole thing. Goodbye.
Wow. What's he sore about? I had a solution to his problem, but he wouldn't give me a chance to tell him what I... Wait a minute! What are you doing, Artie?
We're warming up for Alice's song. All right, Alice, start singing.
Sing what? What are you playing?
What do you care? There's fish with anything.
Put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. All I want is having you and music. I'd do anything for you, anything you'd want me to. All I want is kissing you and music. Closer, my dear, come closer. The nicest part of any melody is when you're dancing close to me. So put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. All I want is loving you and music.
Put another nickel in and watch your favorite music begin. Favorite songs we used to know have that nostalgic flow. It's music.
Put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. All I want is having you and music. I'd do anything for you, anything you'd want me to. All I want is kissing you and music. Closer, my dear, closer. The nicest part of any melody is when you're dancing close to me. So put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. All I want is loving you and music.
You know, Alice, I've been thinking about Mr. Scott's problem. You know, it's pretty serious, and I think we ought to help him. I know one thing. I wouldn't want my daughter married to a fortune hunter.
Now you know how my father felt about you.
Oh, honey, when I married you, I didn't know you had money. By the time I found out, it was too late to back out, and I have suffered through it.
Say, Phil, I have an idea. All we have to do is make Marjorie forget this older man she's going with.
I know that, but how?
Well, let's find a young, handsome, clean-cut, typical American boy that she can fall in love with.
Yeah, but after she falls in love with me, then what happens?
I wasn't talking about you.
But, honey, will you listen to me? I'm the only one to make Margie forget this guy. If you remember, when I met her last year, she practically swooned over me. She had a terrific crush on me.
That's right. The poor, weak-minded child did. Well, let's get over to the house and you can talk to her.
Hey, Curly, what makes you think you'll be able to get Margie to forget this other guy?
Are you kidding? What, are you kidding? Not kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Not kidding. I'll make her forget him like that. Before I married Alice, she was going with Tyrone Power. Alice, tell him, how long did it take me to make you forget Tyrone?
10 years.
Man, I've only known you 8 years.
You still have 2 years to go, dear.
And so, Mr. Scott, that's what we're doing over here. We want to help you.
In short, as long as you're not capable of handling your family affairs yourself, we'll do it for you. That's very nice of you, Rimley. I appreciate your efforts in my behalf, and I'll thank you to keep your big fat nose out of my business.
Mr. Scott, look, don't you want our help?
Curly, don't ask him. Look, Scotty, we're going to help you.
I don't want your help.
You're going to get it whether you want it or not. Now get lost. We got work to do.
Please, Frankie. Mr. Scott, very often children resent interference from their parents, and we thought, well, perhaps, we might make Marjorie understand.
That's right. Now just let me talk to her for 5 minutes. That's all. 5 little minutes. Now, where is she?
She's in the den. Do you think you can influence her?
Scotty, 5 minutes with me and you won't be able to take her out of the house without a leash. Excuse me. Oh, Filthy, here you go again, making a female happy. Happens to be my business. Yes, sir, I hope seeing me again doesn't stagger the girl. Uh-oh, there she is. Hiya, Margie.
Hello, Curly.
Got her on the ropes already. I see, you didn't forget me.
How could I? I once had a terrific crush on you.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Wasn't I a silly little child?
Well, I wouldn't say silly. Discriminating is a better word.
Perhaps, but at any rate, it's all over now.
Is it, my dear?
Oh, yes. This time I'm really in love. There's only one man for me, and that's Mr. Crale.
Crale? Is his first name Clyde?
Clyde Crale.
How you like that? I always thought that was a name I made up. Say, Margie, but look, honey, after knowing me, how could you even look at anyone else?
Because Mr. Crale is more romantic than you.
Oh, pull yourself together, kid. This Crale is just a preliminary boy. With me, you is messing with a main event.
Mr. Harris, I know you were quite a ladies' man in your day.
What do you mean, in my day?
Well, Clyde is ever so much younger than you. He's only 40.
Well, how old do you think I am?
You must be at least 42.
What do you mean? I'll settle for that. Look, honey, why think about this older man when I'm available?
But you're not available. You're married to Mrs. Harris. And now, if you'll excuse me, I must finish writing this letter to Clyde. Goodbye.
Clyde. The impossible has happened. Harris has been rebuffed. Oh, could I be losing my charm? No. Poor kid must have astigmatism or something.
Well, Phil, how did you do?
Well, practically had her in the boat, but she slipped the hook.
Losing your touch, huh, Curly? I guess you're not as seductive as you think you are.
I am, too, and I'll prove it. It's just because I'm married. She's a nice kid, and she doesn't want to take me away from poor old Alice. Look, I'll show you. Alice, all you got to do is to go in and tell Margie that you've given me up.
I ain't gonna do it.
Honey, it's to help the girl and watch your grammar. We're just pretending. If you tell her you're giving me up, she'll be amenable to my approach. She'll think that... Amenable!
Well, it sounds crazy to me, but if you think it'll work, I'll try it.
Good. Now, Remley, you go inside and keep Scotty busy so he doesn't bother us.
Right.
And Alice, all you have to do is to tell Margie that you're giving me up, and she'll take the cue. And the rest is going to be a cinch. Now, go ahead. Wait a minute, honey. Look. Leave the door ajar. I want to hear Marjorie pant when you tell her the news.
Okay, dear. Hello, Marjorie.
Hello, Mrs. Harris. What are you doing here?
Well, I have some news that I know will interest you, and I came to tell you. You see, I'm leaving Mr. Harris.
A very wise move.
How the kid's being subtle.
Marjorie, you don't understand. I'm giving Mr. Harris up so you can have him.
What would I want with him?
She doesn't want to appear anxious.
Now, look, dear, you needn't pretend with me. I know you want him.
But I don't want him. You can keep him.
I don't want to keep him. I'm giving him to you.
I don't want him.
I wish they wouldn't fight over me like that. I'm not worth it.
Marjorie, please take him.
But I don't.
Look. I'll make you a sporting proposition. You can have Mr. Harris and 13 points.
Don't palm him off on me. Why are you so anxious to get rid of him?
I've outgrown him. That's why I'm giving him to you.
I've outgrown him, too.
Hear them dames talk, you'd think I was an old girdle.
Marjorie, why don't you take him? He's too old to make any trouble. He'll just lie around the house.
No.
He'll make a wonderful watchdog. He barks when strangers come in.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Harris, but I already have a dog.
Bet he ain't got a pedigree like mine.
Well, Marjorie, if you're not interested, I guess I'll run along. Well, Phil, Marjorie won't even take you.
I know.
I told you.
Watchdog.
I told you this wouldn't work. What we need is a nice boy her own age to take her mind off this other fellow. Phil, I know just the boy.
Who?
Julius.
Julius? I'd rather see her go steady with Cecil, the seasick sea serpent.
Now, Julius is a nice boy, and he's just about her age.
But, Alice, don't you...
argue. Go call him and tell him to come over here.
Oh, all right.
Curly, I don't get it. Why did you call Julius to come over?
Well, it was my idea. I thought we could use Julius to lure her away from the other fellow.
Fine bait. Would be kinder to throw her a hunk of doped horse meat. He's such a contrary kid. How'd you get him to come over?
I appealed to his romantic side. I told him I want him to make love to a beautiful girl. And I certainly wish he'd hurry and come on.
Relax, Bob. Errol Abruzio is reporting for duty.
Well, it's about time you got here. Do you know what you're supposed to do?
Sure, you told me over the phone that you want me to take a pretty blonde pound away from a no-good fortune hunter.
That's right. Now get started.
Okay, step aside. Miss Faye, fly with me and I'll rescue you from the clutches of this money-mad drunk.
Alice ain't the girl. It's Mr. Scott's daughter.
Oh, now you're after her money.
It's not me. There's another guy after her money, and we want you to...
Curly, what's the use? Marjorie won't even look at him. He's such an obnoxious little brat.
As himself, yes. But I've got an idea. Now, look, Julius, she likes my type. And I thought instead of being your usual repulsive character, that you could act like me.
Oh, instead of being repulsive, you want me to be nauseating.
Never mind. I'd do this myself, but I'm a little old for Marjorie. But she loves my personality.
She loves your personality? There's just one thing I want to know about this girl.
What?
How'd she get hurt? Why should I get involved with this daffy dame?
Now, she's not daffy. She's Mr. Scott's daughter, and she's a very nice girl. Please, Julius, do it for me.
All right, Miss Faye, I'll do it for your sake.
Shh. Julius, quiet. Here comes Marjorie. Now, remember, act just like me and you're a cinch.
Okay.
Oh, Margie, hi. I want you to meet a young friend of ours. Miss Scott, this is Julius Abruzio.
Hello, Julius.
Oh, come with me to Alabama. Come and meet my dear old Pappy. He's always boiled and oh so happy, and that's what I like about that South. Yeah.
What the heck was that?
I think he's cute.
Yeah. Ain't I?
Do you think I'm cute, Julius?
You'll have to ask me later. I'm too busy thinking about how cute I
am. But you're different than any other boy I ever met. You're so unusual. You're so fascinating.
You're so right. I'm the greatest boon to American womanhood since the nylon 90.
Alice, please, tell me I don't act like that.
All right, I'll tell you don't. But you do.
Marjorie, prepare yourself for a thrill. I'm taking you out tonight.
Gee, you're so masterful.
You ain't just beating your gums, Myrtle. Oh, good.
Marjorie?
Yes, Daddy?
Your mother and I have reached a firm decision about this Mr. Crail.
Who?
Mr. Crail, your fiancé.
Oh, him. Daddy, I want to introduce you to a new boy I just met. This is Julius Abruzio.
Julius? You mean you and Julius?
You said it, Dad! Sure. Now that I'm practically your son-in-law...
You are not my son-in-law.
It's just a question of time. Now, the first thing I'm going to do when I become vice president in charge of the Rexall radio program is to cut down on expenses.
Now, just a minute, young man. Nobody asked you to change our radio program.
I know a way we can break Mr. Harris's contract.
I don't care what you know about... You do, my son?
Yeah, and I know how we can get rid of Mr. Remley, too.
Well, let's go into the library and talk this over.
Hey, Mr. Scott, don't listen to him. Julius, what are you doing to me?
Now, just what did you have in mind, my boy?
Now, as I see it, Pop, all we got to do is prove that these two guys have no talent which shouldn't be hard.
Keep talking, boy. I love your style.
Alice and Phil will be back in just a moment. But first, here's your Rexall family druggist.
The other day I was telling a customer about one of Rexall's best-known products called Bismarex.
Oh, you don't have to tell me about Bismarex. I already know for myself what swell relief it is for acid indigestion.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what this customer said. But wouldn't you still like to know why that's true?
Well, yes, I guess I would.
Well, the secret lies in the scientifically developed formula for Bismarex. You see, the active ingredients in Bismarex vary in the time it takes them to dissolve in the stomach. That way, the relief it gives is not only prompt, but continuous and prolonged. Excess acidity is often neutralized within 1 minute. Then, the other ingredients, dissolving more slowly, ease up those acid gastric pains. And finally, Bismarex leaves a soothing protective covering on irritated stomach membranes.
No wonder Bismarex is so popular.
Well, ma'am, 10,000 family druggists don't wonder about it. You see, we know you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall.
As a personal emissary of Mayor O'Dwyer to ask Jack Benny to come to our trouble city on March 15th.
Well, why did they want Frank there on March the 15th?
Because when Benny pays his income tax, his tears alone will fill every reservoir.
A feud between Jack Benny and Fred Allen became legendary. Like most parts of the program, it was not planned, but happened by accident.
Fred had a 10-year-old boy, a violinist, on his show. And the boy played the B. And when he finished, Fred made a derogatory remark about Jack.
You think that was just an ad-lib remark?
It was an ad-lib. It wasn't intended for a feud or anything because they were the best of friends. In fact, it wasn't. And then one of the writers, I think, heard Fred make mention of it because we had one writer, Daggerberry, that was out of his mind about Fred Allen. He thought he was the greatest comedian in the world, and truly he was a great comedian. And I think he mentioned it to Jack. Now, Jack answered him, but you see, Fred had a tougher time because he followed us. So he would have to prepare an answer to what Jack would say. But they didn't talk. I think the first time they really got together in regarding the so-called feud, it wasn't a manufactured feud such as with Ben Burney and Walter Winchell. This happened by accident with this boy.
And then after that accidental beginning, you started writing it into the scripts.
Well, Fred would say such derogatory remarks about Jack. I mean, that you had to answer. The ad-lib was the one time that Jack talks about the tree that they planted in Jack's honor in Waukegan. And Fred said, and the tree died. And Fred came out and said, well, you can understand why the tree died. He said, well, the tree in Waukegan and the sap is in Hollywood.
Mary, that's the worst thing anybody ever did to me. I'll never forgive Fred for not showing up.
Oh, Jack, stop complaining. You had a good program without him.
I know, but how could he do a thing like that?
All right. Don't walk so fast. I can't keep up with you.
Okay. Hey, mister, would you like to buy a map to the movie stars' homes?
Don't you talk to me. Stupid man.
Come on, Mary. Well, you might at least say hello to Portland. She's on the other corner.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Portland. How are they going?
Just started by an accident. Just like everything I've ever done, I've always explained that. Everything I've ever done on radio or television that was good started by an accident. Because if Fred Allen and I had said to each other, let's have a feud, I'm sure the feud would not have lasted over 3 or 4 weeks. It would have been lousy. But the fact that it just came up out of nothing, then it's funny because then you are saying the right things and you're ad-libbing. And when you feel that they've had enough of it, you stop. Now, there would be some shows that I wouldn't mention Fred Allen or he wouldn't mention me. And then later on, we'd pick it up again, you see. But everything good started by an accident. You know, the strange thing, on account of that feud we had, So many people think that Fred Allen hates and despises me. Unfortunately, Fred happens to be one of those people.
Fred and Jack were great friends. They didn't see each other socially that much because Fred and Portland were in the east and Jack and Mary were on the coast. Now, when Fred and Portland came out, they were together, or when we would go east. And, oh no, Jack respected and admired Fred. Fred was truly a great comic, and he wrote most of his material. In the summertime, he would take time off and spend most of his summer writing material up at Old Orchard, Maine. And that's where he would go. And, there's so many nice things you could say about Fred. He was very charitable. When he was quite a religious man. And there were a number of friends of his that he knew from show business. And I know this to be true. Very few people are aware of it, or were aware of it at the time. He would give the father envelopes to be distributed to these men in need, and no one knew who was the donor of these. He was a very charitable man. He was a very fine person. It was quite shocking when he passed away.
I can get my glasses dirtier than anybody in the world.
This is the Jack Benny story, narrated by Tom Reed.
A gentle rain in one place can be a raging torrent in another. When disaster strikes, America has a unique emergency force, the American Red Cross, the good neighbor, on call 24 hours a day to give help on the next block or a continent away. If you need help, join us. If you can give help, join us. The American Red Cross. Help us help people just like you.
Besides exchanging cracks about each other on their respective shows, Jack and Fred appeared as guests on each other's program. On one such occasion, each gave their own version how they first met. Jack tells his story to Don Wilson.
Oh, it happened in Boston a long time ago.
Well, tell me about it, Jack.
All right, Don. It was many, many years ago when vaudeville was at its height. I was the headliner at the Metropolitan Theater in Boston. One night after the supper show, I was sitting in my dressing room resting from my 7 encores. I was removing my makeup. Gosh, they were a wonderful audience tonight. They made me take 7 bows. This makeup is hard to get off. Uh-oh. Gee, a gray hair. Imagine me getting gray if this is the first year I'm 39. Well, I'll just... Come in.
Mr. Benny?
Yes?
Mr. Benny, my name is Fred Allen.
Uh-huh.
I'm appearing here at the Metropolitan.
Well, that's funny. I don't remember any Fred Allen on this bill.
I'm in the opening act.
Oh, I thought the opening act was Pink's Mules.
I took my makeup off.
Oh, so you're with Pink's Mules?
Uh-huh. May I sit down?
Yes, but not too close. Now, what can I do for you, young man?
Well, Mr. Benny, I am a great admirer of yours, sir, and I want to be a smart, sophisticated comedian like you.
Oh, then you're a comedian?
Yes, I'm just mule delineating for the time being. I am really a juggler, but I want to give up juggling because you can't get any steady booking.
Oh, I don't know. Now, my brother worked for a bank, juggled their books, and got 20 years. You see, if you want to be a comedian, Alan, you better watch it. You see, you let that one get past you.
Oh, it didn't get past me, Mr. Benny. I've been around mules so long, I didn't notice it.
Well, Mr. Allen, if you're a juggler, I hardly think you have the experience to become a great comedian.
Oh, sir, I never hope to be as great as you are, sir. But I do think with a little perseverance and some polish, mark you, I might become another Maury Amsterdam.
Well, you should be able to get laughs, Alan. You're ugly enough.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Tell me, Mr. Benny, what do you think of this new entertainment medium that's just starting up, this thing called radio?
Well, I've been giving it a lot of thought. In fact, I already have an idea for a radio program.
You have?
Yes. On my program each week, I'll visit a place called Benny's Boulevard, where I'll start knocking on doors and ask topical questions of 4 people.
4 people?
Yes, a Southern senator, a rube who says, howdy, bub.
Oh.
A Bronx housewife, and an Irishman.
Gosh, what a novel idea for radio. You know, that might even replace the street singer.
Yes, you'll have to excuse me now, Alan. I've got to get dressed for dinner.
Well, goodbye, Mr. Benny, and thank you so much, sir, for your help. I will always treasure the memory of this meeting the greatest comedian in the world, sir. I'm backing out, sir.
Thank you. And that, Don, is how I first met Fred Allen.
Here's the latest worldwide news from the American Entertainment Network. Stan Martin reporting. One of the top Middle East experts in the State Department says the U.S. is not considering a formal defense treaty to guarantee Israel's survival. But in Washington, Assistant Secretary of State Joseph Sisko says any such study would be related to an overall peace settlement in the Middle East. Sisko says he has hopes such a peace is possible.
I'm frankly guardedly optimistic because I think we are beginning to see at least the parameters of this problem.
Sisko concedes that while his last Middle East trip with Secretary of State Kissinger did not produce anything new, it did define the framework of negotiations for a solution. On another matter, Sisko hints strongly that the U.S. will soon lift its arms embargo to Pakistan. Joseph Sisko was on NBC's Meet the Press. Now this.
So the National Federation of the Blind are pioneering a new image.
I engaged in the general practice of law in Jacksonville. I was admitted to practice November 23rd, 1964. I've been in active practice in Jacksonville since 65. Being in the NFB has educated me. I was ignorant as to the full capacities of blind people. And I keep running into people who have done and are doing much more fantastic things than just practicing general law in Jacksonville.
For further information about blindness or the blind, get in touch with your local Federation affiliate or contact me, Kenneth Jernigan, President, National Federation of the Blind, 218 Randolph Hotel Building, Des Moines, Iowa, 50309.
The AFL-CIO proposed today creation of new antitrust legislation to break up the big oil companies and put them under tough government regulations. At its convention in Miami Beach, the big union blamed multinational oil companies for the energy crisis and also recommended an energy policy which would cut imports and cut consumption while increasing domestic energy supplies. President Ford said today that he is optimistic his veto of an oil tariff delay will be sustained by Congress. The president wouldn't say when he will send that veto message to Congress, but sources on Capitol Hill say they expect it to come next Friday. The president made his remark today as he was returning from a round of golf at the Burning Tree Country Club in Maryland. Chief Justice Warren Berger says federal courts need more and higher salaried judges to handle the expected court load brought on by passage of the Speedy Trial Act of 1974. Berger told the American Bar Association's mid-year meeting in Chicago today,
"The very inequitable treatment of the salaries of federal judges has placed them 50% behind the great bulk of the career civil service personnel of the federal government, who have received regular in-grade increases in addition to the cost of living increases during the past 5 years."
Berger says the Speedy Trial Act was passed by Congress last December without adequately considering the impact it would have on the courts.
If we are not given the tools to meet the demands of the new Speedy Trial Act, with its first phase effective approximately 120 days from now, and its second phase July 1st, 1976, the federal courts may be confronted with a crisis, particularly in the larger districts.
Chief Justice Berger says originally the judiciary asked for 52 more judgeships, but Berger says substantially more than 52 will now be needed. A tornado skipped across Tuscaloosa, Alabama today, killing at least one person, injuring 60 more as it tore up trees, damaged homes and businesses. At the same time, heavy snows, which spawned a number of tornadoes, surprised residents of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. This is ABC News.
Weather reports are brought to you daily by Greg's Fireplace Shop.
It's great to have a fireplace, but kind of like a camera, a fireplace can be more functional, attractive, and fun as you add accessories. That's why Greg's Fireplace Shop has a complete line of fireplace accessories, all kinds of screens in all styles. Greg's Fireplace Shop will custom make a screen to fit any fireplace regardless of shape. And of course they have the heat-saving glass screens too. When it comes to tools, I haven't seen a bigger selection in the area, and so many styles in tool stands. One that caught my eye in particular combined the gleam of brass with the soft warmth of deep-grained wood fashioned into a massive horse's head. Greg's Fireplace Shop has accessories that help you save money on heating your home, too. Reflectors, tubular grates that throw the heat right out into the room. There are so many more hearth-warming ideas besides fireplaces at Greg's Fireplace Shop that you really should see for yourself. And you can at 4646 Pacific in Lacey.
That's news for the American Entertainment Radio Network, a service of ABC News.
I figured they'd let me go the first time I took something, but they didn't. So here I am at the detention center. I can't believe it. All I took was a crummy cassette tape.
If you're caught shoplifting, you can get a criminal record that'll follow you around the rest of your life and just possibly close the door on your future. When you shoplift, you can get ripped off too. So put it back. This word of advice comes to you from Seattle's Consumer Awareness Council.
And to this note, breathlessness after minor exertion could possibly be emphysema. Check with your doctor. The Washington Lung Association believes it could be a matter of life and breath. We'll be back with more of the Jack Benny story right after this.
Finer furniture for finer homes comes from Selden's.
Where quality makes the difference, second best won't do. You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
When you select furniture from Selden's, you know that you're going to have it for a while because it's made to last. Made by the finest manufacturers in the country with an eye to construction, design, and durability. Selden's takes pride in their brand names on the furniture they show, and they take pride in their service, too. The people at Selden's feel that a little extra service just naturally goes with selling the finest. When you match the moderate prices at Selden's with the quality and service, you know why so many of the finer homes in this area are served by Selden's, Franklin and Legion Way.
You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
As you might imagine, Fred Allen's version of the circumstances surrounding his first meeting with Jack Benny was quite different than Jack's. Fred tells his story to Rochester.
Well, Rochester, it happened many, many years ago. I was headlining at the Metropolitan Theater in Boston. And one evening after the supper show, I was sitting in my dressing room removing my makeup. Gad, what a show. I'm all tired out from blowing kisses to the audience. 11 encores before I finally begged off. Come in.
Mr. Allen?
Yes?
My name is Jack Benny.
Well, I'm glad you got here. It's the cold water faucet that's leaking.
No, I'm not the plumber. See, I'm appearing here on the vaudeville bill with you.
Jack Benny, Jack. Say, I didn't see your name on the program.
Oh, I'm in the opening act.
But the show opens with a Japanese flash act. Yamaguchi and Takamura. Gosh, they're wonderful. The way they lie on their backs and juggle that big barrel with their feet.
I know. And inside of that barrel, me.
No.
Oh, yes, Mr. Allen. While they're balancing that barrel and kicking it up in the air, I'm curled up inside with my violin, playing Ireland Must Be Heaven, because my mother came from there.
What an inspired touch. I can just hear that music coming out through the bunghole. Well, so much for flattery. Now, what can I do? What can I do for you, son?
Mr. Allen, sir, you've got to help me. I want to be a great comedian like you. I want to make a lot of money. A lot of money.
But, Benny, why knock yourself out to make a lot of money? You don't.
No, Mr. Allen. I save my money. Here, look.
Say, that's a peculiar-looking wallet you have there.
It's a baby wildcat. It has a strep throat. Anyway, Mr. Allen, I want to be a great comedian like you.
Well, if you're so anxious to earn big money, why don't you turn to radio?
Radio?
Yes, it's a gold mine. Say, I'm working on an idea for a program for myself. Now, my idea is this. I'll be the star, you see. A girl to insult me, a drunken orchestra leader, and a fat announcer. Crawled out of the bunghole, became a big success on the air, sold himself to CBS for $2 million, while today I am a bum. How fickle fate can be.
You're listening to The Jack Benny Story, narrated by Tom Reed.
Hey, that's a beautiful chess set. Where did you get it?
Marble Elegance Imports.
What's it made of? That's not marble.
Yeah, it's soapstone. It was carved in the Orient.
Clever people, those Orientals.
Not as clever as me. I got a 10% discount on that set. I also got a 10% discount on that painting and that Oriental screen.
How did you get a 10% discount?
Well, about a month ago, a plastic telephone book cover was delivered in the mail, and inside were coupons. Instead of throwing them away, I used them. Clever?
Oh, yeah, very clever, but what are all these other discount coupons?
Oh, they're the ones I'm going to use to buy some other nice things for my home or the office at Marble Elegance Imports.
You mean you got all these coupons in that one phone book cover?
Oh, no. These coupons I got from my friends.
They gave them to you?
I should say not. I had to bargain for them. I had to trade.
What did you trade?
Slugs to use in my bubblegum machine.
Jack Benny would have loved you.
Yes, and Jack Benny would have loved saving 10% at Marble Elegance Imports, 5826 Pacific in Lacey.
In the early 1950s, one of the long-standing cast members, Phil Harris, left Jack's show for his own. Phil was replaced with Bob Crosby.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Rochester, Dennis Day, Bob Crosby, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
I took Phil Harris's place when he left Jack Benny and took his own show on NBC. I was with Jack for about 3 years. It was a tough job because I had to learn to drink. He had a lot of Phil Harris jokes that he didn't want to throw away that he'd already paid for. And then I did his first few television shows, too.
Well, Jack Benny to work with?
Well, he's probably one of the most extraordinary comedy editors that I've ever known in my life. By that I mean he could take a script and say to you, this line is funny, this line is not funny, this line is such and such. And on various occasions when he said this line is not funny, the writers would insist it remain in the script, and it wasn't funny. When he said this line is funny, we never failed to get a laugh. He had infallible judgment about what was funny and what wasn't funny. I think he's a great comedian, of course, but above and beyond that, I think he's the greatest editor of comedy that I have ever known in my brief period in show business.
He knew what would go over for him, didn't he?
He knew what was funny, period. He knew that the audience would dig that would hit their funny bone. He just had an uncanny knack of knowing good writing and bad writing when it came to comedy.
After Jack's radio and television shows went off the air, he was able to take life a little easier. But he didn't stop entertaining. Jack started making personal appearances, and for those, he selected a talented young girl singer by the name of Kay Hart.
A couple of weeks ago, a train pulled in, not stopping in Anaheim, Azusa, or Cucamonga. It pulled into Olympia with a trainload of General Electric appliances for Olympia Appliance Center. Since then, they've been offering extra special prices on GE refrigerators, washers, dryers, dishwashers, compactors, and disposers. The 4 remaining GE school ranges are very specially priced. Olympia Appliance Center needs good trade-ins, and so they're offering up to $100 for late-model refrigerators or late-model washers and dryers in operating condition, and up to $50 on used ranges. Olympia Appliance Center not only offers you the best values in town, but they'll give you free delivery and complete warranty service. They've served the Olympia area for over 22 years with value and service. See the crew at Olympia Appliance Center during this wind-up of the big GE train load sale. All aboard!
Kay had worked with Jack over 5 years previous to his death. She knew the real Jack Benny, the offstage Jack Benny.
I know everybody knows him through radio and television and all the things that he's done, but I wish they could know him personally as the man. He's really...
Well, what's he basically like, Kay, as the person off stage?
He's very... he's not funny off stage. You see, he's a very quiet, very basic person who allows everybody else around him to think funny. And he sits back and he enjoys it all. When he says that George Burns is the only one that makes him laugh, or George Burns makes him laugh, but he can't make George laugh. That's true, because I was in their company one time. George came to visit us when we were in Las Vegas. And you'd sit with George to have dinner. And George would enjoy his dinner, but you'd never get to yours because he would do nothing but tell one joke after the other. If they put celery on the table, he'd do 20 minutes on the celery. And therefore, we were all in stitches laughing. And he's eating and everything's gotten cold. They're taking one appetizer and entree away from us. But Jack really just sits there, and he enjoys the company of other people. And when you're with him, the irony of it is that I never think as funny as when I'm with Jack. There's something about being in his presence that situations arrive and you just say funny things that would never come into your head before. And he sits there and laughs. He just enjoys it. Oh, he'll say, he comes up with fantastic lines, but he doesn't set out to sit there and entertain you. He's just Jack Benny, the man, and I'm Kay Hart, the girl, and you just chit-chat about everyday living, with the problems of the world and what's going on, and did he enjoy his golf game? Never show business. And I really have to pick at him to tell me the stories of the old days and the things that happened with Fred Allen and all of those people, and I just enjoy that so much, And he'll very graciously tell you all those stories, which is a thrill.
He enjoys talking about nostalgia, doesn't he?
Oh, yes. He loves to reminisce, because when you think, this is a song I do in my show, and I talk about memories, about Once Upon a Time, and I think it's so apropos of his life, because he's got so many fantastic memories and remembers everything that happens. Somebody said to him, we were at the Broadmoor, and somebody said to him, they came to visit, there were visitors from Chicago, and they said, do you remember that night we went to that Chinese restaurant? And he said, oh, yes, I remember, and we took the cab, and we were blah, blah, blah. And he remembered everything, even down to what they ordered, or if they had fantastic cuisine or what have you. So he's a remarkable man. Sometimes I can't remember yesterday, where I was yesterday, and he's just fantastic.
When employee make joke about employer, then E soon find out that fire him.
This is a Jack Benny story narrated by Tom Reed.
Weather reports are brought to you daily by Greg's Fireplace Shop. When you buy a fireplace at Greg's Fireplace Shop and you have it installed in your home, you're getting a lot more than a fireplace. You're getting the tantalizing smell of fresh popcorn popped the way it was meant to be popped over an open fire. You're getting the laughter of a child toasting a marshmallow. You're getting the soft purr of a warm kitten curled up on the hearth. You're getting that special warmth for your body and heart that comes only from a fireplace. The crackle of the fire on a winter's night. The soft glow of the embers as your day comes to an end. That special point in the room where friends come closer together. If you're not getting all this and more, then maybe you should be getting to Greg's Fireplace Shop, 4646 Pacific in Lacey. They're full of hearth-warming ideas.
Unfortunately, Jack did not live long enough for this radio special to be completed. He never had a chance to hear how it came out. However, I did personally present him with a set of his old radio shows on cassettes from the Old-Time Radio National Archives. He was thrilled. As I was working on the preparation for this program, I told Jack I thought there should be a motion picture made of his life story.
If I would ever finish a book that I started to write, then maybe they might make a story out of it. But I write, and then I get lazy, and then I don't write. And then sometimes I don't think I'll ever finish it, if you want to know the real truth. Then maybe a picture would be made out of it, because I don't know any other way. It would not be easy to make a picture of my life, or even to write a book, because I've had no problems. See, it's easy to write a book about somebody who's had problems, like maybe Sammy Davis Jr., Joey Lewis, whose face was cut up by gangsters. See, they got something to write about. Or people who have had setbacks and things like that. Well, nothing has ever happened to me. I've just gone along and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked, and that's all. I'm married to the same woman 48 years. Now, nobody wants to read that.
He mentioned to me that he didn't think that his life was spectacular enough to have a movie or a biography. But I disagree. I think his life story would be fascinating. I don't think you have to have a person that's had problems or recovered from some great problem to make it an interesting life.
Well, you know, I go along with your thinking. However, I can understand where Jack's head is at when he says that, because invariably, when you watch the talk shows, if somebody gets on and they just chit-chat as we are, it's really not, people don't regard that as very exciting. But if you had real deep problems like alcoholism or drug addiction and you conquered it, and or what have you, that's more interesting to people, because then you've really lived the tortures and so on. And if you kind of go through life and you've been kind of very blessed with a good health and a nice life, and like he says, he has never had any tough times, you know.
While Jack never played himself in a movie on his life story, he did, as we mentioned in the beginning of this special, make a number of movies for MGM in the late 20s before going into radio. Years later, after he was a success, he made quite a few more movies, which he often panned on his radio shows. In this scene from the late 30s, Jack is playing a policeman who has followed a suspected murderer into a movie theater.
Well, thank heaven that's over. Now, come on, men. We got to catch that murderer before he gets away.
Hey, Cap, there's a fellow with a gun sitting over there by the door.
That's the guy we want. Come on. Oh, now, what's that?
It's the feature picture. Look!
Yeah, there's the title. Jack Benny and Artists and Models. Why, that's my old picture. We can't nab that guy now. We'll have to wait until it's over.
I know you don't. I'm not going to sit through this. Take it away. I give up. I surrender.
What?
I confess. I killed him on the murder, but I'm not going to sit through this picture. I'm going to hang, you hear me? Hang!
Blast the bracelets on him, men, and take him away. I'm staying for the picture. Play, Phil.
Jack, the picture you did that I always sort of liked was The Horn Blows at Midnight.
Yeah, a lot of people liked it. Do you know why they liked it? Because I panned it so much that everybody looked at it and said, gee, it can't be that bad. And then they look at it and said it isn't. I had somebody the other day in Portland said to me, gee, I saw The Horn Blows at Midnight and I liked it. I said, well, you liked it because I didn't, you see. Mm-hmm. But I was on Merv Griffin's show about a year ago, and I said, Merv, let's talk about things that I haven't talked about much on these talk shows. Why don't you do some research and find out how many pictures I've made, or I can find out, and we'll discuss my movies. Now, I actually thought I only made about 7 or 8 pictures.
Is that right?
I made 22 pictures. And most of them were good, and most of them made money. Because in those days, if you made a picture for $1 million, that was a lot of money. Well, today it's 15-16 million, you see. So they all made money. Some of them were good. One picture is today considered a classic, To Be or Not to Be.
Sure.
One I made with Lubitsch.
Uh-huh.
In Europe, that is still today a classic picture. And Charlie's Aunt, George Washington Slipper. I made a lot of good movies. But I've always kidded so much about one and always deprecating myself about that one picture that a lot of people think I never made any others. Hello?
Oh, Mr. Benny, this is Rochester.
This is the story of Jack Benny, narrated by Tom Reed.
Finer carpeting for finer homes comes from Selden's.
Where quality makes the difference, second best won't do. You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
When it comes to carpeting for your home, there's no substitute for quality. The kind of quality that makes up the wide carpet selection at Selden's. Selden selects their stock from the leading carpet mills in the nation. This is carpeting that will be beautiful for years and years because it was made to be. Whether you're carpeting a room or a whole house, you want the finest. And for that, you make your selection where moderate pricing, quality, and service are the main reasons so many of the finer homes in this area are served by Selden's, Franklin and Legion Way.
You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
Shortly before he passed away, there was some talk of Jack doing another movie. Kay Hart was among those encouraging him to do it. Jack had boundless energy, even at the age of 80. He was still going strong right up to a few days before he passed away, the day after Christmas, 1974. In fact, Jack was a tough man to follow around at age 80. Hilliard Marks.
We can't keep up with him. Sometimes we beg off. He's a 30-year-old man. He's back to where he was walking on the stage in the Orpheum circuit. It's amazing, and I think, of course, to me, it's a great compliment. The people that know, and I've been associated with Jack for so many years, will say to me that, geez, you look great. You haven't changed a bit. How do you look so young? And I always say, well, because I drink the same water that Jack does, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the last Jack Benny show of the month. It's also the last program of the current series, and as a matter of fact, it's the last show of the season. So now I bring you a man I thought wouldn't last, Jack Benny.
But last he did, for more than 60 years of entertaining us. Jack didn't look his 80 years, and I tried to find out his secret for a long and healthy life. I knew it wasn't the water.
I must look a lot older than 39, but I still don't think I look anything like my right age. So I should be grateful for that, I guess. But I don't know. You know what I think it is? I think it's because I'm constantly working. I think that has a lot to do with it. Now, I imagine... I haven't retired yet. I imagine if I was in the haberdashery business, selling neckties or something, I'd be willing to retire, you know, after a certain amount of time. But in show business, it's difficult to retire because we don't know anything else. So if I try to do something else, because to retire entirely would be very, very difficult, I think, because I don't feel my age. And there are moments, and then I wouldn't know what to do. Is to keep working until you can't, I guess. Right now, we just played a couple of engagements. The audiences have been better than ever. Business has been fine. The audience has been all laughing. I write better than I used to. I find everything much easier. And so therefore, I don't think I should get out of it yet.
Thank you. Hello again, this is Jack Benny talking, and Don, I know that you're trying to be clever on the final show, but how could you possibly have thought that I wouldn't last? After all, a man my age is just in the prime of life.
I guess you're right, Jack. They've been priming you for 20 years.
Don, George Global. CinemaScope
stomach. Now, Don, control yourself. But, you know, you may be right. After all, nobody can last forever.
You're sure working on it, Bud.
Well, I see we have another candidate for the unemployment insurance. You better watch it, sister.
Jack's right, Mary. He deserves a little more respect from us. After all, he's one of the pioneers in the broadcasting business.
You're darn right. Why, when I did my first program, there were hardly any radios in the country.
And darn few people.
Darn few people. Plenty of people when I started.
They may have had feathers in their hair, but they were people.
Mary, if I were Jackie Gleason, you know what I'd say? One of these days, pow, back to the May Company.
If you were Jackie Gleason, I wouldn't have to go back.
All right.
Oh, Jack, why are you so touchy? Can't you take a joke?
Certainly I can take a joke, but here we're doing our last program of the season, and everyone comes in and insults me.
Oh, I didn't insult you, Mr. Benny.
Huh? Oh, hello, Dennis.
Hello, sir.
Well, you see, Mary, Don, Dennis knows how to treat me with respect.
Certainly. I feel that when a man keeps you working all these years, he deserves respect.
Well, naturally.
A man doesn't get to be the star of a radio and television program unless he has ability and talent.
Thank you, Dennis.
No star can keep a loyal following of fans loving him through all the years unless he's an outstanding personality.
Well.
Can I go now, Mr. Benny?
An excerpt from the final network Jack Benny program, May 29th, 1955, without Mary Livingston.
This is the Jack Benny story, narrated by Tom Reed.
This is Olympia's hometown station. KIBM.
Hey, that's a beautiful chess set. Where did you get it?
Marble Elegance Imports.
What's it made of? That's not marble.
Yeah, it's soapstone. It was carved in the Orient.
Clever people, those Orientals.
Not as clever as me. I got a 10% discount on that set. I also got a 10% discount on that painting and that Oriental screen.
How did you get a 10% discount?
Well, about a month ago, a plastic telephone book cover was delivered in the mail, and inside were coupons. Instead of throwing them away, I used them. Clever?
Oh, yeah, very clever, but what are all these other discount coupons?
Oh, they're the ones I'm going to use to buy some other nice things for my home or the office at Marble Elegance Imports.
You mean you got all these coupons in that one phone book cover?
Oh, no. These coupons I got from my friends.
They gave them to you?
I should say not. I had to bargain for them. I had to trade.
What did you trade?
Slugs to use in my bubblegum machine.
Jack Benny would have loved you.
Yes, and Jack Benny would have loved saving 10% at Marble Elegance Imports, 5826 Pacific in Lacey.
Gentlemen, although this is called the Jack Benny program, I'd like to say that its success is due to the competent people I have working with me, my wonderful cast, the great supporting players I have, my producer, my engineer, my sound man, my capable writers, my fine musicians.
How can you read that stuff? Doesn't it make you sick?
Good night, folks. See you in the fall.
How do you end a tribute to Jack Benny? What else can we say about an entertainment legend? I think Jack would be pleased to know that even though gone, dying of cancer the day after Christmas in 1974, his entertainment will live on forever. Fortunately, via the recording of this program and the many others of Jack's old radio shows now in the old-time Radio National Archives, Jack will go on entertaining us. But Jack, we miss you.
When Benny Kibelski was born, who in their wildest dreams would imagine that 80 years later, at the event of his passing, every television program, every radio show would stop, and that every magazine and newspaper would headline it on their front pages. The millions of people who had never met him, who had only seen him or heard him, would feel the pain of a very personal loss. For a man who
was the undisputed master of comedy timing, you'd have to say that this was the only time when Jack Benny's timing was all wrong. He left us much too soon.
This has been the Jack Benny Story, narrated by Tom Reed. It was produced in Spokane, Washington by American International Productions in cooperation with the Old Time Radio National Archives, in which Jack Benny was a life member. This complete 3-hour tribute to Jack Benny is being made available to the general public for your home personal use on high-quality, professionally duplicated cassettes by the Old Time Radio National Archives. For complete information on old-time radio shows and membership in the Old Time Radio National Archives, write Old Time Radio, Box 683, Spokane, Washington, 99210. That's Old Time Radio, Box 6.
Dennis Day. Oh, what makes life seem worthwhile dwells in your eyes and the smell of your smile.
Dennis Day is brought to you by Colgate Dental Cream and Luster Cream Shampoo. Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth. Luster Cream, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness. The Dennis Day Show with Barbara Eiler, B. Benaderet, Dink Trout, Charles Dant and the orchestra, and yours truly, Vern Smith, is written by Frank Galen and stars our popular young singer in A Day in the Life of Dennis Day. Here's Dennis to sing the title tune from the new Edgar Bergen motion picture, Fun and Fancy Free.
I'm full of fun and fancy free. That's the way I want to be. I don't let my troubles trouble me. I'm fancy free and full of fun. Got no time to worry none. I'm too busy singing in the sun. If you should have a chronic ache, pills won't make you strong. The only tonic you should take is a teaspoonful of salt. So if you really like to be happy-lucky just like me, drown your frowns, my friend, and you will see that you'll be full of fun and fancy free. If I should see a gloomy gust, I'd never hang around. You'd see me raising quite a dust, 'cause I'd be elsewhere bound. So if you really like to be happy-lucky just like me, drown your frown, my friend, and you will see that you'll be full of fun and fancy free.
Famous beauty authority Kay Duman now sends you the winning secret of true hair loveliness. Your hair can be your most captivating charm with one touch of magic, Luster Cream Shampoo. Yes, whether your hair is honey blonde or raven black, sunny brown or fiery red, it's your natural hair appeal that men love. And more women of all ages are discovering that Luster Cream Shampoo brings out the fullest natural glory of their hair. Not a soap, not a liquid, Luster Cream Shampoo is an amazing new dainty cream that whips up luxurious lather like magic in hard or soft water, sweeps dullness away, and in its place leaves hair heavenly soft, shining, obedient. Out of her wealth of cosmetic lore, Kay Dumet blended lanolin with special secret ingredients to achieve this almost magic new cream that offers your hair a stunning new sheen and finish. Try that economical $1 jar of Luster Cream Shampoo now at all cosmetic counters. Also 30-cent and 55-cent sizes. thrill to all those admiring looks coming your way when you begin using Luster Cream, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness. Well, as you know, when our young hero Dennis Day met the girl of his dreams, Mildred Anderson, over a year ago, his immediate problem was to get on the good side of her mother. Unfortunately, he's made very little progress with that problem. In fact, he hasn't even found out yet whether she's got one to get on. So this morning, he decided to seek some advice from one who's unquestionably a qualified expert on the matter, the cuter half of the Anderson family.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes, my son?
I've been wanting to have a talk with you for some time, sir. It's about Mrs. Anderson.
My little lump of love?
Yes, sir, but with me, she isn't that kind of lump at all. In fact, she hates me.
Oh, now, Dennis, I'm sure you're mistaken. It's probably just that you do something now and then that annoys her.
Yes, sir. I breathe.
Well, don't you stop, my boy, even for her.
But I gotta do something, Mr. Anderson. I can't go through life always scared to death of her.
Well, why should you, my boy? Now, I've known Poopsie for years, and I assure you she wouldn't harm a fly.
Maybe not, but boy, the way she treats human beings.
Now, Dennis, you mustn't feel that way about my wife. She has a hard exterior, yes, but way down deep inside her is a sweet, kindly, lovely soul.
Mr. Anderson, I have no time for dredging. I need help now.
Yes, son, I see your problem. Mrs. Anderson didn't have much respect for me either, right up to the day that I asked her to become my wife. But then, she looked at me in a different light.
Yes, sir, but I don't think a step like that would be practical for me.
Well, to tell the truth, I really didn't have it in mind for you. But, now, what we need is some little, hey, wait a minute. I think I have it.
Are you sure I want it?
Yes, I think you do. Remember a few weeks back, my wife's club put on a drive to help juvenile delinquency?
Yes, sir.
Well, they have a new project now. They want the city of Weaverville to build a new jail.
Gee, they must have helped juvenile delinquency no end.
Well, no. As far as I know, the two projects are unrelated. Except that because of her work on the other one, they made Mrs. Anderson the chairman of this one.
Oh, I see. And you think if I could help her in some way...
Exactly. Now, if she can get the city to erect a new jail, despite the objections of the mayor and the chief of police, I have a hunch the club presidency is in her lap. So you see, it's...
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Anderson.
Good morning, Blossom Face.
Gee, Mrs. Anderson, I just heard all about your problem with the new jail, and you know what? I'm going to help you.
Dennis, don't say things like that, even if you're joking.
But, Mrs. Anderson, I want to help. Don't you want to hear my ideas?
Why should I?
I might have a good one. You can't listen to your common sense all the time.
Dennis, I'm warning you. Stay out of this. We're taking a public opinion poll on a new jail, and that's all that should be necessary to convince the mayor and the chief of police.
But I know the chief of police personally, and I could have a talk with him and present your side of the case.
Certainly not. Let's at least keep our old jail. If you get mixed up in this in any way, young man...
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, good morning, Mildred.
Good morning, Mildred. Just remember what I said, Dennis. Come along, Herbert. Get your Hoover. This is your thorough cleaning day.
Yes.
My goodness, Dennis, what's the matter?
Oh, I just offered to help your mother with the new jail, and as usual, I made quite a bit of back way.
Oh, gee, they really should have a new jail. Prisoners escape from this old rat trap in droves. It'd be wonderful if you could do something. Say, wait a minute.
An idea, huh?
Oh, a beauty. Look, I'm the secretary of the committee headed by Mrs. Phillips to take a public opinion poll on the new jail.
Yeah?
Well, suppose I list houses to call on where we're sure no one's home.
This is a beauty?
Well, sure. Because there will be someone there. You.
Me?
Of course. At each place, you open the door just wide enough for Mrs. Phillips to hear you but not see you. Then in a different voice each time, you vote yes on the poll. Wonderful?
Wonderful. That's trespassing, illegal entry, housebreaking.
Not if we don't get caught. We'll pick places that are unoccupied or up for sale. Come on, let's go.
You know what, Mildred? If you passed your ideas around to everyone in town instead of just me, they'd have to build a new jail.
You see how easy it was? This house was open for inspection, so we have a perfect right to be here.
Gee, never in my wildest dreams did I expect to become all the answers on a public opinion poll. I wish I... Oh, my gosh, look, here's Mrs. Phillips coming up the walk.
All right, now, don't get excited. Just remember which way to vote and disguise your voice. Be Italian or something.
Gee, I don't know much about Italian, but I'll try.
How do you do? I'm conducting a public opinion poll.
That's a fine. I'm a vote the wee-wee.
I don't quite understand.
What's I mean, my shoe? I'm in favor of the new jail.
Why, how did you know that I was going to ask you that?
Well, that is the question on everyone's lips, you know?
Yes?
Well, you happen to pass by just when it got a Bible to mine. Good night, please.
Dennis, you've just got to be more careful after this.
Yeah.
Come on, her next stop is 349 Elm.
How do you do?
Howdy, Bob.
Bob?
Sorry, Bob-S.
My dear sir.
Got something on your mind, lady?
Why, yes, I have.
Well, as the bald-headed rose said to the strip-teaser, let's get it off.
In your opinion, does the city of Weaverville need a new jail?
Why, sure, ma'am. As the clerk in the girdle department said to the fat lady, there ain't no getting around that.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, much better, Dennis. All right, let's go.
How do you do? You're the owner of this house, Professor Nikolai Rudensky?
Da.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question, Professor.
Da?
Yes. Will you answer it?
Da.
Does Weaverville need a new jail?
Da.
Oh, thank you, sir. And good night.
Da-da.
Okay, lassie, I got my opinions, but they're no for free. Now, if you'll give me a halfpenny for my thoughts. Ah, thank you, ma'am. I vote aye. Hey, Ben, who's this fence and domestic?
Well, Huldah, do you think Weaverville should have a new jail?
Oh, yeah, sure, you betcha. Oh, sure, me all the same a flavor on new jail for Weaverville, you betcha.
Well, thank you very much. And may I have your name, please?
Me all the same hip long on Fa-Ting Dang Ding Dong Bong from Hong Kong.
Could you repeat that?
Oh, no, very sorry. Just made it first time.
How do you do?
Well, faith now on the top of the morning to you, Colleen, darling. And what is it I can be after doing for you this fine morning in the store of Hushla McCree?
Why, Dr. Goldberg. That's what your sign says outside the door, Dr. Goldberg.
Oh.
Tell me, Dr. Goldberg, do you think the city of Weaverville needs a new jail?
You're asking me and I'm telling you. What
Well, so far so good, Dennis. And this is the last place.
Yeah, but I'm running out of voices. I can't think of anybody else to be.
Dennis, just use your imagination. You've got to think of one. Oh, my gosh, here she comes. I'll run out and try to stall her while you think of something.
Okay.
You, Mrs. Phillips? Oh, Mildred. Yes, I knew you'd be passing by here, so I thought I'd meet you. How's the poll going?
Oh, my dear, it's a landslide for us. But you know, the strangest thing, I never see anyone. No, they just open the door a crack and put their foot in it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And oddest of all, they're all wearing the same clothes. Light brown slacks and sneakers. Even Huldah Swenson, domestic.
Oh, you don't say.
Mm-hmm. I do believe it's a trend, my dear. I must wire Adrian immediately. Well, I wonder who I find in this last house. They've all been so unusual today. Good day. I beg your pardon, but could you open the door just a bit wider?
No, I can't, because I'm only 3.5 years old, so there, too, sir.
3.5 years old?
Yeah, 2.
Well, then how do you explain the fact that you're wearing light brown slacks and sneakers?
Second childhood?
I don't think so. Perhaps I'd better push open the door and find out for myself.
No, wait.
Dennis Day! So, it was you all the time.
Well, Mrs. Phillips,
You've ruined my poll, that's what you've done. My report is worthless. I'll have to tear it up.
Well, Mrs. Phillips,
think of you being in every single one of those houses. How could you do a thing like that?
We used Mr. Anderson's car.
What if the idea did blow up in our faces? You're not going to quit, are you?
Yep.
Dennis Day, are you the kind of a man who takes a beating lying down?
Nope, I get up and run.
Well, you're not giving up. I have another idea.
Oh, no, Mildred.
Yes. This Mayor Brown who's fighting the new jail is a very impressionable man. Now, if an important senator from Washington in a big hat and a handlebar mustache told the mayor we needed a new jail, he'd...
Mildred, no, not a senator. I won't do it. I won't.
Dennis?
No, this I positively and definitely will not do, and that's final.
Dennis Day?
Very well, Poopsie.
Come in. Mayor Brown, my name is Gregory. I'm a big senator from Washington, D.C., that is.
Senator, why, this is a pleasure. Sit down, sir.
Thank you, old massa. Mayor, we hear reports in Washington that you'd make a mighty good congressman.
Congressman? Oh, Senator, not really.
Yep. Now, how do you stand on price control, Mayor? Labor, foreign relations, housing, the tariff?
Well, gosh, I don't believe I ever gave any of them a thought.
By George, you might even make the Senate.
Gosh, Senator, honest?
You bet, son. Only there's something standing in the way of your career. We hear you got a bad jail.
A bad jail?
Mighty bad, son. We hear it's so bad that you got to lock people in it.
But they're prisoners, Senator.
They vote, don't they?
Well, yes.
I love every one of them.
But what can I do, Senator?
Build a new jail, son, and fast. I've got big plans for you, but you've got to cooperate. Now, the first thing that we do...
Oh, here's our chief of police. Chief, I want you to meet someone.
Oh, hello, Dennis.
Hello, Chief.
Now, as I was saying, Mayor...
Wait a minute. You know this man, Chief, and he's not a senator?
A senator? Dennis Day? That kills me.
I don't think it's going to do me much good either.
Oh, impersonating a senator, eh? Day, do you know I could have you jailed for this?
But I did it for a good cause, Your Honor. That jail you've got is an old rat trap. Why, anybody could break out of it.
Anybody, huh?
Why, sure, they... Chief, why are you looking at me like that?
You said anybody could get out, didn't you?
Are you... Is somebody going to get a chance?
We're going to hold you on a technical charge of impersonating a senator, wise guy. And if you can get out of our jail, we'll agree to build a new one.
Me? You're going to put me in jail?
Why, you'll be out in an hour. You said yourself it was an old rat trap.
Yeah, but suppose I was wrong. You'd leave a boy of my type in jail with those hardened criminals?
That's their tough luck. They should have thought of that before they committed their crime. Come on, you.
Hey, Frankie, how you coming with that hole?
Okay. Ought to hit daylight any minute now.
Atta boy, keep digging. We got to get out of this. Wait a minute.
Eh?
Quick. Cover up the hole. Here comes the chief with a guy.
Okay.
Okay, kid. Right in here with these two boys. Well, I'll see you, chum.
Hiya, kiddo.
Hello, bunkies.
What's the moniker, kid?
The what?
The name. I'm Harry the Hook.
Yeah, I'm Frankie the Fink.
Oh, I'm Dennis the Date.
What kind of a name is that? What kind of a name is that for a crook?
Well, you see, I'm not really a full-fledged criminal. I'm just sort of an elderly juvenile delinquent.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they just put me in here to see if I could find a way to get out. Say, you boys don't happen to know anyway, do you?
Oh, so that's it. You're a stoolie, huh?
Huh?
All right, talk, kid. How much do you know?
Beg pardon?
Oh, don't give me that. Spill it. How much do you know?
Well, I went through junior high.
That's not what I mean. Do you see this fist, buddy?
Yes, sir. It's very nicely formed.
How'd you like it in your face?
I wouldn't.
Then talk. Come on, say something.
Yes, sir. Under the spreading chestnut tree. Yes, sir.
Let me at him, Frankie. There's nothing I like better than taking care of a stoolie.
Lay off, Harry. The guy's no stoolie.
I'm telling you, he is. Let me at him.
You're crazy, Harry. He's too dumb to be a stoolie.
Oh, yeah?
Listen to your friend, Harry.
A wise guy, huh? I'll show you how we handle stoolies around here.
What's it? You push him right into the...
Hey! Gee, look, a big hole in the floor. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine.
Say, we better tell the chief, huh? A prowler could sneak in here that way.
You hear that, Frankie? He wants to tell the chief. And you said he wasn't a stoolie, you dumb ox.
Yeah, well, who pushed him into the hole in the first place, you lunkhead?
Who are you calling a lunkhead?
Who are you calling a dumb ox?
You.
Oh, yeah?
So you want to play, huh?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, fellas, donkeys, please. Hey, you're liable to hurt someone over here, not be yourself. Harry, wait a minute. Oh, he's not working. Frankie, don't hit him with that phone. Gee, I guess I just bring out the beast in people.
Hey, what's going on here? Oh, holy smoke. Frankie and the Hook, both out cold.
It's my fault, Chief. You see,
Your fault? Why, you little tiger.
Huh?
What's this? A hole in the floor.
Yes, sir. That's what started it. You see,
Dennis, are you all right?
Mildred and Mrs. Anderson, what are you doing here?
The mayor phoned us. We came down to get you out.
What is this? What's going on here?
This kid just cooled off both these thugs.
What? Dennis? How did it happen?
Well, the way I figure it, the kid dug that tunnel to make the break he said he was going to make. And those two thugs demanded to be taken along. They got tougher about it, so Day here, well... Let's have the rest of it from you, Day.
Oh, no, go right ahead. You're doing fine.
Good heavens, look at the size of the hole he dug.
And in less than 5 minutes. How did you do it, Day, with no cool tools of any kind?
Oh, it wasn't very hard rock. I just used my teeth.
Good gosh. Well, this boy has taught me a lesson. The town does need a new jail, and I'm going to see that it gets one.
Oh, Dennis, sugar baby, you doll, you.
I lead the most unpredictable life.
Oh, Dennis, I'm so proud of you. I could just kiss you.
I'm going to kiss him. I think he's just the most Dennis Day, come up out of that hole.
Yes, ma'am.
Dennis Day will be back in just a moment with a song. But first, here's a fact worth knowing.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
And just how important that is, our Colgate players are going to demonstrate. Let's look in on a young couple with a love seat, but no love. Listen.
Gosh, Judy, you sure are scrappy lately. I've been spending more time in the doghouse than Fido.
Oh, Jim, I don't like these cat and dog fights any better than you do.
Well, then tell me what the trouble is, Judy.
Jim, your dentist can handle that subject better than I can. So ask him, won't you?
And here's what Jim found out.
Scientific tests prove that in 7 out of 10 cases, Colgate Dental Cream instantly stops unpleasing breath that originates in the mouth. And Colgate's safe polishing agent brings out the natural sparkle of your teeth, cleans them thoroughly and safely.
Yes, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
And Colgate Dental Cream is famous for its wonderful wake-up flavor, too. Nationwide tests of leading toothpastes prove that Colgate's is preferred for flavor over other brands tested.
So to clean your teeth thoroughly and safely, for a wake-up flavor everyone enjoys, use Colgate Dental Cream. Remember, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. With Charles Dant in the orchestra, here's Dennis to sing the beautiful old favorite, the Whiffenproof Song.
Down at Maurice, to the place where Louis dwells, to the dear old Temple Bar we love so well. Sing the Whiffenpoofs assembled with their glasses raised on high, and the magic of their singing cast itself. Yes, the magic of their singing, of the songs we love so well. Shall I wasting, and Mavurnin, and the rest? We will serenade our Louis, while life and voice shall last. Then and be forgotten with the rest. We're
Remember, doctors prove the Palmolive plan brings 2 out of 3 women lovelier complexions in 14 days. And this beauty plan with Palmolive soap was tested on women with all types of skin. Dry, oily, even skin that was not clear. Yes, 36 doctors proved the 14-day Palmolive plan improves all types of skin. Brings fresher, brighter, younger-looking complexions. So get Palmolive soap and start your 14-day Palmolive plan now.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman.
Good evening. This is Ronald Colman.
Benita Colman.
Inviting you to join us again on the campus of Ivy College.
Now, the Halls of Ivy.
That surround us here today.
Welcome again to Ivy. Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. You know, many a man takes his wife a box of candy or a bunch of flowers on occasion, but the occasion is usually a birthday or an anniversary. It's a rare husband indeed who takes his wife a bunch of violets simply because it's spring and there are flowers for sale on the street corners and he happens to be fond of her. But that's how it is with Dr. William Todhunter Hall, president of Ivy, as he enters his own front door at number 1 Faculty Row.
Vicky, where are you? Your chicken has come home to roost.
Welcome home, chicken. Put your face down here if you'd like a small hen peck.
Thank you, darling. And if I may take this occasion to make cynics of the comic strip artists, the wearier novelists, and domestic relation clinics, I would like to state that I, William T. Hall, being of sound mind, even after many years of marriage, do hereby depose and declare that I still love you very much, implementing this declaration with this bunch of violets.
Why, Dottie, how lovely.
They do not quite match your eyes, my dear, but we must be patient with nature. This is her busy season.
Yeah. Would you put all that in writing if I get you about 12 sheets of paper? Oh, I love violets. And such a large bunch, too.
Well, I was playing safe. I thought they might be the shrinking type.
This is your birthday. I mean, did you bring me violets to celebrate some occasion?
Yes.
What did I forget?
Oh, don't chide yourself, my love. The only occasion I'm celebrating is our marriage.
Yeah, but this isn't our wedding anniversary.
I know that, but can't I celebrate it whenever I want to, just because I view the matter with pleasure?
Well, did you have a good day? How did your conference with Mr. Wellman go?
Darling, one does not have conferences with Mr. Wellman. One listens.
Oh.
Conferring with Clarence is equivalent to discussing balanced diets with a hungry tiger. You can't win. Has anyone called?
Yes. A man named Follinsby called and wanted to know when you were going to return his trombone.
Follinsby? Trombone?
Don't worry about it. He had the wrong number. The cleaner called after that, and he said there was a tiny moth hole in the elbow of your grey suit, and should he reweave it? So I said, please do. Oh, Toddy, I'm afraid I don't take very good care of you. Moth holes in your suits. It's shameful, really.
My dear woman, in the first place, that suit is at least 7 years old and should only be worn to riots, dogfights, and balloon ascensions. Secondly, I don't expect you to spend your waking hours hiding in closets with a cat pistol, frightening off marauding Lepidoptera. Thirdly, you take excellent care of me.
Oh, then you don't think our marriage is a failure. Signed, Anxious.
Dear Anxious, no, I do not. Signed, Aunt Beatrice. Now then, who else called?
Professor Gardner and Dr. Otis. Well, that is, Dr. Otis called for both of them. She said they'd like to come and see you on a rather serious matter.
Oh?
I said about 4 o'clock would be safe.
Well, it's almost 4 now. I wonder what's troubling them.
Yeah, let's see. Now, Otis is anthropology, and what is Gardner?
Paleontology.
Oh, yes. Study of geologic periods based mostly on fossils. And I wonder if they ever studied Mr. Wellman.
Well, Mr. Wellman is a unique specimen, a modern fossil. He can take more time
Louisa,
to work out...
I imagine that's Professor Gardner and Dr. Otis.
You know them, of course, don't you, Vicky?
Yes, they're very nice.
They're two of my favorite... good afternoon, Dr. Otis.
Dr. Hall.
Professor Gardner. Nice to see you. I think you've met my wife.
Hello. Certainly we have, Mrs. Hall. We apologize for breaking in on you like this, Dr. Hall.
Oh, no. Anyway, my husband has a clause in his contract which says the president shall be available at all times to the more interesting and attractive members of the faculty.
Do I understand that something serious is troubling you?
Yes, Dr. Hall. We've got something on our conscience we'd like to unload and take whatever consequences we deserve.
Well, this sounds as though it needs more privacy than you would have with me present, so I'll go get my cat pistol and frighten some moths.
Oh, no, please. Don't go, Mrs. Hall. The students value your help and advice so much, I don't see why the faculty can't benefit from it, too.
Yes, please stay.
Well, thank you.
Well, now that we have a quorum, which of you is the spokesman for the delegation?
You tell them, dear.
Uh-oh. Dear?
Yes, Mrs. Hall. We're married.
Oh.
Yes, we've been married 2 weeks.
Well, that's wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. But Dr. Hall, it's against the rules. We have violated the regulations. We're living in what you might call academic sin.
It was fun at first with no one knowing it, but...
Then we realized we were being unfair and unethical, and it played on our minds, and so we decided to come and tell you.
Oh, I appreciate that. And while matrimony as such is approved by most civilized people, in your case, I'm afraid our esteemed Board of Governors will consider it a serious breach of regulations.
Will somebody please tell me what's going on here? Who's the Board of Governors to tell people they can't get married? Tell them to go boil a buffalo.
Victoria, my love, your righteous indignation is quite natural, and I share it. But, as with most regulations governing the operation of this college, however idiotic they may seem at first glance, the rule against intra-faculty marriages has a realistic basis.
Yes, you see, Mrs. Hall, it's not that they're against marriage, but they oppose more than one member of a family being on the faculty at the same time.
So getting married and keeping it a secret for 2 weeks is a pretty serious infraction.
Oh, well, I think you came to the right place. This is the sort of thing my husband loves to find solutions to. He knows more answers than there are questions.
Oh, I'm sure you will understand my wife's belief in my omnipotence. Many a man has become a success merely by trying to live up to his reputation, however hollow it might be.
Well, your reputation may not be for omnipotence, Dr. Hall, but it certainly isn't hollow. As Emerson, I think, said, an institution is the lengthened shadow of one man.
And you cast a pretty respectable shadow, Doctor. Although I realize that flattery will get us nowhere in this situation. Well, we're in a bad spot, and we thought you ought to know.
Now, look, maybe I'm not very bright, but why was such a silly rule as this ever passed?
It's a matter of economic status, my love. Each faculty salary is adjusted with surgical precision to the rank of the individual. Thus, it is impossible for an instructor to make more than an assistant professor, or an assistant professor to make more than an associate professor, or an associate professor more than a full professor, and so on ad presidentem. Follow me?
Yes, I'm following you, but I'm running like mad to keep up.
Hypothetically, let us say that the two faculty members get married.
Meet Mr. and Mrs. Hypothesis.
As a result of this marriage, the family unit represented by this couple might have an income superior to that of, let us say, the dean of men. With a professionally inferior status and a financially superior one, resentments arise, protocol lies bleeding, and, according to the Board of Governors, Ivy College totters and crumbles into ruin.
Well, maybe I'm being just hopeful, Dr. Hall, but you sound as though you don't agree.
I believe in laws and regulations, but they are subject to reconsideration. And I've made frequent attempts to remove the one under discussion.
Mrs. Gardner tells me that it's one of Mr. Wellman's favorite rules.
Oh, come on now. You've been married to her for 2 weeks. You can call her Lucy.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall. You see, if the rule is enforced against us, John can't very well stay at home while I go on teaching. Even though he loves cooking and can sew on a button as well as the next, I don't think Mr. Wellman would like that either.
I'm afraid you're right. And if you stayed home, Dr. Otis...
Well, I'd be giving up years of work in my field and a book that needs finishing. I don't want to find a job at another school because, well, it may be just a foolish whim, but I just don't want to be separated from John or from Ivy.
Oh, and Ivy doesn't want to be separated from either of you.
Well, we'd like to try to keep it a secret for a while longer, but I don't think we'd succeed. In our present mood, we just want to tell the whole world about it. And when you're in that mood, marriage, like murder, will out.
Toddy, from all the symptoms, I would say we're witnessing the onset of an acute form of successful marriage.
Yes.
Now, as old practitioners, we have a duty to perform.
Most emphatically.
Then will you take on our case, Dr. Hall?
Well...
Oh, we'd appreciate it very much. Having deceived you for a couple of weeks, we don't come into court with very clean hands, but we have great faith in the judge.
Well, I'll do my best to act off the record in the case of Wellman versus Cupid.
Oh, thank you,
That's very
Dr.
kind
Hall.
of you, Dr. Hall.
However, I must warn you that never has that young miscreant with a bow and arrow had a more flint-hearted target. But don't give up hope. As Shakespeare almost said, this bud of love by Wellman's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet.
As we return to the halls of Ivy, we find Dr. Hall and his wife Victoria at breakfast the next morning.
Another piece of toast, Toddy? Marmalade on your eggs or just cream and sugar?
Yes. Thank you.
Won't you try one of these boiled curriculums? They're matriculated in deep fat and served as chopped umbrella handles.
No, thank you, dear. I don't believe I... chopped what?
Umbrella handles. We're all out of peanut brittle.
Peanut? Umbrella... Oh, I'm sorry, Vicky. Take me gently by the hand and lead me back to the conversational crossroads where we lost each other.
Oh, well, it's all right, darling. It's nice to know you're here physically, even if mentally you're having breakfast somewhere else.
I admit to being absent without leave, but it wasn't for breakfast. I was thinking of Professor and Mrs. Gardner.
And what is Ivy's own Beatrice Fairfax going to do about them?
I have sent for Mr. Wellman.
Oh, it's very saucy of you. A mere president of a college sending for a chairman of the board of governors. Why, it's like a used car dealer sending for General Motors.
Well, darling, Mr. Wellman is not, to coin a phrase, unsendable for. After all, he's only the chairman of the board of governors. And, by one definition, a governor is a mechanical attachment for controlling speed. Thus, Mr. Wellman is a device for retarding the advancement of whatever he may be mechanically attached to. Therefore...
seems to be attached to the doorbell right now.
Yes.
Never mind, Faye. I know my own way in. Dr. Hall, I received a message that you wish to see me. I'm not in the habit of being summoned, you know.
We shall all be summoned one of these days. Good morning. Will you have a cup of coffee?
No, thank you. Good morning. And I shall be ready, Mrs. Hall. When I'm summoned, I mean.
Oh.
Well, Dr. Hall?
Oh, I hope I shall be ready, too, Mr. Hall. Yes, indeed.
Well, anyway, it must be something very urgent for you to send for me for. That is, otherwise, why would you?
Well, Mr. Wellman, I wanted to consult you on a rather delicate matter.
Well, that's different. Glad to be of help. After all, I am a man of considerable experience, and any time anything that requires delicate handling is something of which... What have you gotten yourself into now?
I am only indirectly involved, Mr. Wellman, and perhaps you are also.
Me? Involved? Nonsense. It's just gossip. It was perfectly innocent. I mean, there's no basis for scandal just because a man... After all, it was raining. And I only drove her 2 blocks. And good heavens, if a man in my official position can't give the dean of women... What is it you're talking about, Doctor?
Professor John Gardner and Dr. Otis, Mr. Wellman.
Remember them?
Well, certainly. Don't you think I know the members of our own faculty? Fine young people. Credit to Ivy. Wish we had more like them.
Well, in a year or two, you might get your wish, speaking by...
You'll be pleased to hear that they're married, Mr. Wellman.
Why, yes, of course. Like to hear about such things. Nothing like marriage to bring people together, I always say. Wait a minute. 2 of our faculty members married to each other?
Yes, they confided in us yesterday. They seem to be very happy. But you don't, Mr. Wellman.
Of course I'm not happy. Well, they can't do this. It's against the law, the regulations of this college. It's distinctly stated. Stated quite plainly. 2 members of a faculty family cannot be gainfully employed. Why, Dr. Hall, I shall demand this marriage be annulled. Or something.
Well, I think the or something is to be preferred to annulment, Mr. Wellman. Our bylaws are well established, but matrimony is a much older institution. However, Mr. and Mrs. Gardner are valuable members of the faculty. Don't you think that in view of the circumstances, the ruling of the board should be set aside?
Impossible. It's the policy of our cornerstone. I mean, the cornerstone of the very foundations of our... This ruling was formulated, Dr. Hall, in order that... And for anyone to suggest that we throw away our rule book just to accommodate a couple of newlyweds is simply... No, Dr. Hall, no.
Mr. Wellman, now don't you understand what it means to these 2 people?
They should have thought of that before they... No! Why, to defy this ruling is flying in the teeth of Providence. And before you know it, some faculty family might have a combined income of more than a member of the board, for example.
Well, considering the present state of teachers' salaries, Mr. Wellman, it's not likely to happen in the foreseeable future. I assure you, as president of this college, I am frequently embarrassed when I check our salary list.
Yeah, the head of a department makes less money per annum than a second-rate prize fighter or a minor league shortstop.
Yes. Sometimes seems that earning is a matter of getting the L out of learning.
Nevertheless, Dr. Hall, we cannot compromise with a ruling that is basically... These people were familiar with the law, and if they chose to ignore it, I'm afraid they must take the consequence. What time is it? Oh, my goodness, I've got a meeting of the Finance Committee in 10 minutes, and they're in a very bearish mood, Dr. Hall. Very bearish.
Well, as chairman of the board, Mr. Wellman, I'm sure you can tame the bears.
Yeah, he can do better than that. He can make the whole thing unbearable.
Unbearable. Yeah, that's very good, Mrs. Hall. Wait a minute. What did you mean I can make things unbearable? Was that a disparaging remark?
Oh, no, just animal spirits, Mr. Wellman.
Oh, yes, I see. Animal spirits. Bears. I think I've been insulted. And I'll have to think it over. Well, goodbye, Mrs. Hall. I can find my own way out.
Goodbye, Mr. Wellman.
Toddy, it looks like you and Cupid have lost the first decision. Do you take the case on appeal?
Well, I shall at least prepare a new brief. Legal battles are a little out of my province, darling, but I'll do my best as an attorney. As Dr. Johnson said of a woman's preaching, it is like a dog walking on his hind legs. It is not done well, but you are surprised to find it done at all. Oh, why, Dr. Otis, how are you?
A little anxious. John and I were wondering how our case is going.
Well, having failed in the initial direct attack on our chairman, I'm preparing an enveloping movement. It's an elaborate maneuver in which you slip around the side, find the chink in the armor, lower your visor, raise the halberd, and let the old boy have it in the neck. Smite him hip and thyroid.
Where is his particular chink, Dr. Hall?
Well, after years of experience, I have found that it is located between his flashing sword of economy and his brassy breastplate of pride in ivy. And there is a shaft speeding directly toward that point. Yes, dear.
The Lord High Executioner and Protector of the Realm awaits your presence in the living room.
Clarence?
Yeah.
I didn't expect such quick results. What's his mood?
Well, I'm not sure, but you'd better get ready to talk turkey.
I'll match him drumstick for drumstick.
I'll just hang around. Maybe I can pick up enough flying feathers for a new duster.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wellman.
Dr. Hall, I've been waiting here for a good 15 minutes. I mean a bad 15 minutes. And I have no time for any explanations.
Oh, I shan't ask you for any, Mr. Wellman.
Well, good. Well, perhaps you can explain this.
Oh?
The memo you sent me, adding $5,000 to the estimate of the faculty payroll for the next year.
Yes, of course. Well, since Professor Gardner and Dr. Otis are married, they cannot both be on our faculty next year. Regulations, you know.
Your regulations, I believe, Mr. Wellman.
It certainly is. Worked it out very carefully, word for word.
Of course, the Gardners would both prefer to stay at Ivy, Mr. Wellman, but they're reluctantly considering employment elsewhere. So, I've made some preliminary investigations for teachers to take their place.
Oh, good. That's fine.
You will agree, I'm sure, that upholding the principle of your own regulation should be well worth the extra $5,000 it will cost for immediate replacements.
You mean to say, Darren Stan, that... are you trying to tell me that we have to pay an extra $5,000? Well, if that's how it is, that's how it is. All right, pay the extra $5,000. After all, the principle of the thing is what counts.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Wellman.
Thank you.
But it's too bad Ivy has to lose the prestige of publishing the 2 books Professor Gardner and Dr. Otis are preparing.
Books? What books? Why didn't somebody tell me about this? Why am I so ignorant of these matters? Publication of a book by an Ivy professor is very important.
Oh, yes. And it would have been nice to publish them under the imprimatur of the Ivy University Press. Well, Ivy's loss is some other college's gain. And I don't suppose it matters too much who publishes a work, as long as it's a contribution to learning.
It most certainly does.
I also understand that Bradford College is anxious to add Gardner and Otis to the basketball and track trophies they took from us last year.
Never. I won't allow it. Do you hear me? Leaving Ivy. Why? Can you give me one good reason, Dr. Hall?
Why, Mr. Wellman, you know the rule on faculty marriages.
Dr. Hall.
Yes, Mr. Wellman?
I shall expect you to support me at the next meeting of the board when I move that we strike this regulation from the book.
Oh, well, I don't know, Mr. Wellman. Let's not be too hasty now. You spent a great deal of time and thought in formulating the rule, and to discard it without due consideration would be...
Due consideration, my grandmother. The ruling is ridiculous. After all, a man can change his mind, can he? You know the old saying, foolish consistency is the, something or other.
A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds.
Oh, I wouldn't say that about Mr. Wellman, dear. I think it would be better to say that circumstances alter cases.
Thank you, Mrs. Hawkins.
However, if you think it wise to repeal the regulation, Mr. Wellman, you may count on my support.
Wise, Dr. Hall? Lose 2 books, Ivy Publications, just because of a silly bylaw? I'll call a meeting, send out letters, call people.
Hold that bar, slip that bell.
Absolutely. Well, goodbye, Dr. Hall.
Goodbye, Mr. Wellman.
Old man Wellman, he just keeps rolling along. Well, it seems we've just destroyed one of the foundations of this college.
You know, Mr. Wellman is now completely convinced that if you hadn't been so stubborn, that rule would have been repealed long ago.
I know. I am the hidden catalyst in the chemistry of Clarence Wellman.
Well, there's one nice thing about being a capitalist. They always have money.
I said catalysts, my darling, not capitalists.
You know, I thought a catalyst was a cowboy.
Well, as long as you think so, I'll start rounding up the gardeners and tell them the good news.
Oh, do, Toddy, and bring them here. I want them to know that it wasn't Cupid who did it after all, but you.
Yes, Vicky, with my administrative bow and arrow, I shot Sparrow Wellman.
Well, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that everything turns out for the best if you know the right people.
Oh, my darling, that's a very cynical attitude. Although I must say that some of my favorite characters were cynics. As Duke Gerald of Tuscany said to Martin of Portugal, the meek shall inherit the earth, but only when the bold pass on. For it is the strong and the determined who administer this world's affairs, mostly for gold and glory. But should by mere accident a trifle of good accrue to their stewardship, they become history's darlings and are hailed as lovers of mankind.
Oh, we love the halls of ivy that surround us here today.
This production of The Halls of Ivy was broadcast with an actual audience present in the studio.
The Ford Dealers of America present The Fred Allen Show. The Fred Allen Show with Fred's guests Bing Crosby, Minerva Pius, Peter Donald, Parker Fenley, the DeMarco sisters, and Al Goodman and his orchestra. And this is Kenny Delmar speaking for your friendly Ford dealer. If you've been in Detroit lately, you know everyone's saying, "What's Ford?" Perhaps you've been trying to pump your Ford dealer to get some inside advance information. Well, your Ford dealer can begin to give you a few facts about the car, but he says, wait till you see it. After all, the brand new 49 Ford will soon be here. Soon you can see for yourself the car with the look of the year, the ride of the year. In fact, it's the car of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last day of National Airmail Week. And paying a tribute to National Airmail Week, we bring you a male who shouldn't be on the air. He's Fred Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Kenny, I hope you observed National Airmail Week.
Yes, I was high all week.
I had better jokes than that before the show, and nothing happened. No kidding. And they said you were high all week, and they said that you would never get you off the ground. Well, you showed them, Kenny.
Yeah, well, did you celebrate National Airmail Week, Fred?
Yes, Kenny. All week I smoked wings. You know, people today don't appreciate our airmail service, Kenny. Do you realize how many people it takes, truck drivers, messengers on motorcycles, pilots on planes, and postmen on foot, to get an airmail letter from here to California?
Yeah, it sure is some operation.
Yes, it is, Kenny. Where else can you get that much action for practically nothing?
Only at a Wallace rally.
Right you are. Say, Kenny, I forgot. Did you know that this week we are also starting National Foot Week?
Say, National Foot Week reminds me.
Reminds you?
Yeah, feet remind me of dogs, and dogs remind me of frankfurters.
So?
If the bakers go on strike this week, the baseball parks will have no rolls to go with their hot dogs.
No rolls?
No rolls.
Kenny, with the new Ford coming out, who's worried about the rolls?
I'm sorry, Fred. I can't laugh at that joke.
Well, nothing to be embarrassed about. You aren't the only one, Kenny. You want to give it some thought? Are you sure?
Positive.
Kenny, it so happens this weekend the Ford dealers are having their convention here in New York. They are here to see for the first time the new Ford car. Kenny, tonight, every man in our audience is a Ford dealer. And the Ford dealers, as you may have heard, are our sponsors.
Fred, what was that joke again?
With the new Ford coming out, who's worried about the road? Kenny, Kenny, you are in the bag for next year. Tell me what, now it's my time to worry. What else is new?
Well, some lady in Washington is campaigning to have women's faces put on paper money.
Say, why should women have their faces on money? They've got their hands on most of the money now, Kenny. And speaking of money, did you hear Jack Benny's program tonight?
Yeah, Jack wasn't on his program last week.
I know. You know, I thought the show was much stronger last Sunday than tonight.
Robert Taylor took Jack's place.
Well, that shows you with that program, Kenny. Anybody can take Jack Benny's place. A tailor, a shoemaker, a street cleaner, a barbecue pit operator. What are you laughing at?
Well, with the new Ford coming out, who's worried about the road?
Oh, now wait a minute. Kenny, before you start overdoing it, I think I had better leave here and get going in the general direction of Allen's Alley.
Well, what is your question tonight, Fred?
Well, this past week, the United Parents Committee urged parents to listen to the radio with their children and to set aside definite periods for family listening. And so our question is, what are you doing about your radio listening?
Shall we go?
As the two snowballs said when they started rolling downhill, who's going to stop her? Ah, it's a wonderful night in Allen's Alley, Kenny. Say, there are some planks missing from the Claghorn front steps. Look, the senator must be putting his platform together. Oh, well, let's knock.
Somebody's belaboring my clabbers. Oh, it's you, son.
Yes, Senator.
Accelerate, son. I'm busier than the jockey's whip on a long shot coming down the stretch. I just got back from Oregon. I went out to hear that Sass and Dewey debate.
Well, how did the debate come out, Senator?
Well, as the new bride said, when she broke the egg in the coffee ground, she didn't settle nothing. People say Stasson's ideas will drive the communists underground. That's a lot of gobbledygook.
Gobbledygook?
Son, today you can't go underground unless you see one man.
Harold Stasson?
John L. Lewis.
Well, tell me, what about Mr. Dewey?
Dewey says keep the communists out in the open.
So?
With the communists out in the open, you can't tell them from everybody else. Yeah, with the housing shortage, everybody's out in the open.
Well, Senator, where do you think the communists should go?
Don't tempt me, son. I'm on the air. But if you... See me after the program. The place I got in mind will melt that iron curtain.
But look...
Sic semper non sequitur nux vomico.
What is that?
It's Latin.
Well, I know it's Latin, but what does it mean?
Go ask your druggist, son.
Well, Senator, our question tonight is about radio listening. What program do you listen to?
Well, son, there's only one way they can get me to listen to the radio.
How?
They get all the Republicans together and put all those Republicans on one program.
All the Republicans? Well, what would you call the program?
People are funny. So long, son. So long, that is. So long,
Well, the Senator's got something there. Let's see how Mr. Moody feels about it.
Howdy, Bob.
Tell me, Mr. Moody, what about your radio listening?
Why, I used to keep a radio in the barn.
Yeah?
I'd turn it on while I was doing my chores.
Well, what was your favorite program?
The Grand Ole Opry.
You like the Grand Ole Opry, eh?
Yeah. 1 minute I was laughing, and next minute I was crying.
Yeah?
Then I was laughing and crying together.
Your emotions alternated.
I was laughing and crying together.
Well, that's
When Red Foley would sing, "This bale of new alfalfa I cut from mother's grave," I'd bend over the milk pail and start crying fit to bust.
Well, I can see how you'd be affected.
Yeah, and then Rod Brassfield, the fellow from Hole in the Wall, Tennessee,
yeah,
he'd start cutting didos, and I'd be rolling in the hay, tittering and laughing like a loon.
Oh, good. You enjoyed it, huh?
Sing, I rapped on the hearse, Granny darling. But Granny, you didn't look out. And I'd start blubbering again.
Well, tell me, are you still listening to Grand Old Opry?
No. Radio's broke.
What happened?
Well, one of my hens is nearsighted.
Nearsighted?
One night after I turned off Grand Old Opry, this hen, she crawled inside the radio.
Uh-huh.
She backed into something that felt round.
One of the tubes, eh?
Yeah, it was still warm.
Uh-huh.
Well, the hen being nearsighted, she thought she'd laid her egg.
Oh, yeah.
She backed up and she sat on it.
You mean that hen?
She sat on that tube until she hatched it.
Your hen hatched the radio tube? Well, what came out?
A big chicken that's the spitting image of Mary Margaret McBride. Go on.
Oh, that's silly. Mary Margaret's no chicken. Anyone would know. Let's try this next door.
Howdy, Jeffy.
Oh, Mrs. Nussbaum. Tell me, do you listen to the radio?
Not lately. Confidentially from Mrs. Bloomberg, I'm learning mine lessons.
Well, what happened? What happened to Mrs. Bloomberg?
Well, always Mrs. Bloomberg is going to quiz programs.
Oh, quiz programs, huh?
On a program, taking it or we will giving it to you. For barking like a dog while blindfolded.
Yes.
Mrs. Bloomberg is winning a refrigerator, also a motorboat autographed by Guy Lombardo.
Mrs. Bloomberg was lucky.
On truth and consequences. For dancing the Big Apple with a wildcat.
Yeah.
She's winning a sleeping bag, also a guaranteed moose call.
Oh,
and on Cover Girl for a day, she is winning 200 manhole covers.
Mrs. Bloomberg had a streak.
Oh, and morons are suddenly millionaires.
Yeah.
For eating an antipasto with chopsticks.
Yes.
While sticking in 2 pounds pot cheese.
Yes.
Also simultaneously singing Nature Boy.
Yes.
She is winning a diesel locomotive with 2 miles of track.
She is going places, Mrs. Bloomberg. Radio, I must say, has been good to Mrs. B.
Also, it is her undoing.
Undoing? Where is Mrs. Bloomberg today?
She is living wearing a mandarin coat in Japan.
In Japan?
Well, last year on a program, everybody is going on a vacation.
Yes.
Mrs. Bloomberg is winning a ticket to Tokyo first class.
Well, why can't Mrs. Bloomberg get back from Japan?
The ticket is only one way.
Oh, I see. Well, one more call and we can leave the alley. I wonder if Mr. Cassidy is around.
Now, what's on me? No, I'm not going to take
Well, Mr. Cassidy, how are you tonight?
Oh, terrible.
What's wrong?
I got Alaskan indigestion.
Alaskan indigestion?
I've been eating too much of that frozen food.
Frozen food?
For 2 days I've been coughing up snow.
Golly.
Look at the front of me suit.
Say, what's all that white stuff?
My stomach's so cold it's frost on me vest.
Frost?
If I ever get gas on me stomach, it'll be a blizzard. Oh.
Well, Ajax, what about your radio listening?
Well, once a week, as regular as clockwork, I turn on the radio.
What programs do you tune in?
Only one program, me boy, the University of Chicago Round Table.
Well, how come, Ajax, you listen to an intellectual show like the University of Chicago Round Table?
I happen to be a charter member of the 3rd Avenue Guild for the Preservation of Culture and Genteel Tippling.
Culture and genteel tippling?
Once a week the guild meets in the back room at Kerrigan's Cozy Corner.
I see.
First the grand omnipotent pharaoh calls the roll.
The roll.
Then every paid-up member is served a quarter liquor and a small individual barrel of beer.
I see.
Then the bottles are opened and the bung starters commence their foamy function.
Uh-huh.
As glasses are set up, I lean over, Jesse.
Yes.
I turn on the radio and tune in the University of Chicago Roundtable.
And then?
The Third Avenue Guild for the Preservation of Culture and Genteel Tippling starts to carry out its lofty objective.
And as the program goes on...
We ignore it. We don't know what they're talking about.
Then why do you tune in the round table?
Or to remind us.
The round table reminds you of what?
To have round after round until we're under the table.
Maestro Goodman has finally gotten himself in the mood to play. The five DeMarco sisters courtesy to Maestro Goodman. All is ready, and the DeMarcos sing Betty Blue. Girl?
Betty Blue likes Bobby Gray, and she likes Bill White too. Gray and White come round each night to woo young Betty Blue. Betty Blue likes Georgie Green, and Tom Brown thrills her too. And over town those beating round her sweet Aunt Betty Blue. Each night the ribbon in her hair is gray or green or white. The one whose color that she wears can't stay and hold her tight. Does Betty Blue love gray or brown, green or white or who? Oh, Betty, who's your steady, pretty Betty Blue? Tell you who, Betty Blue met Johnny Black, and who she likes him too. Gray and white got such a fright when they saw black and blue. Now gray and brown and green and white are in a stew. Betty's wacky over Blackie, and the boys are blue over Betty. Pretty little Betty Blue.
Thank you, girls. And now, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Fred.
Yes, Kenny?
How would you like to have a big job?
A big job? You mean like being vice president in charge of shad at the Fulton Fish Market?
Yeah, no, Fred. I'm talking about the new Ford big job. The most powerful truck Ford has ever built. It has a big 145 horsepower engine and a gross train weight rating of 39,000 pounds.
Say, that is a big job.
Yeah, and the big job is only one of over 139 great new Ford truck models, and they're all bonus built. Built extra strong to last longer. It's no wonder they're the big truck news today.
Well, look, I could have used a Ford truck 30 years ago, Kenny, when I was in vaudeville, juggling and carrying my cannonballs and Indian clubs around.
Oh, Fred, you ought to go back into vaudeville.
You really think so? Why?
In a Ford truck's new $1 million cab, you'd be the most comfortable juggler on the road.
Yeah?
All the drivers are raving about it.
Kenny, why tell me about the new Ford trucks and the $1 million cab? Vaudeville is dead. I can't use a truck today.
Fred, I just want you to see the new Ford truck. You'll go crazy about it.
And if I go crazy?
That'll make it unanimous. Everybody else is crazy about the new Ford truck. It's the hottest truck line in years.
Well, I'll see what If this number had been finished, it would have been Tell Me a Story, played by Maestro Al Goodman and 25 bookmakers who followed the maestro home from Belmont Park the opening day. And now, say, Kenny.
Yes, Fred?
I just remembered. Have you a piece of paper? I have to write my weekly letter to Portland.
Well, here's part of a radio script on this table.
Oh, thanks. Say, this is the back page of Front Page Tarot. I can write on this. Well, let me see. May 23rd, the date. Dear Portland, glad you liked last Sunday's program with Gracie Fields. You are wrong. I sang the song with Gracie. It wasn't Frank Munn. This week I finished reading a new book. It's The Life of Bing Crosby, and it gave me a great idea. If I could only find Bing. I heard he was in New York incognito using the name William Morrow. So last Thursday, I started out to track him down. This is the hotel, and this must be the Crosby suite. I just saw a horse go in the other door. Hey, I wonder if Bing is in here still incognito. Well, I'll knock.
Yes?
Mr. William Morrow?
No, my name is Bing Crosby.
Well, Bing...
Look, Bud, if you're a song plugger or something, I do all my business through Nick Kenny, the writer of Moon Over Mother's Day. And if it's about baseball, the Pirates have a bat, boy, so just...
Well, look, no.
You're trying to get Dorothy Lamour's telephone number. It'll cost you $15. That's what Hope charged me.
Well, Bing, you remember me. I'm Fred Allen.
Oh, Fred?
Yes.
Yes.
Capital A.
I didn't recognize you, Fred. You look wonderful.
I do?
The last time I saw you, you looked like a medical student's homework.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm here, Bing. I just finished reading that new book about your life.
Oh, how does the story finish? How do I end up?
You haven't read the book?
Oh, I've been too busy. I've been out hustling it.
Bing, you need
Oh, not only me. I've got Dixie and the kids. They're out peddling the book door to door.
No kidding?
Yeah, yesterday one of my kids had a little trouble, though.
What's up?
Well, he was going from house to house.
Yeah?
And he ran into Jim Farley working the same block with his book.
Jim Farley was out peddling?
Yes, and Jim is rough competition. You see, with the Farley story, Jim gives away a bottle of Coke. We can't have no premiums.
Bing, you and I can take this book and make the story of your life. Make a picture of it. It'll gross $4 million.
Oh, no, Fred. I'm too busy.
Too busy to make $4 million?
Well, Fred, you can't take it with you.
Well, I know. But when Gabriel blows his horn, Bing, you can come back and look around for it. Tell me what do you say?
No, Fred, I got a lot of things to do. I have to be out at the ballpark every day with the Pittsburgh Pirates, you know. When we have a night game, I have to hold the lantern.
Oh, you hold the lantern?
Yeah.
Oh, Bing, why don't you forget about baseball?
Forget it. Why, this year Pittsburgh's going to win the pennant.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the Dodgers?
That's what the Brooklyn fans want to know.
Tell me, what do you do when you're not with the Pirates?
Well, during the day, I'm generally tied up playing golf.
Yeah?
My nights are fraught with banquets, speaking engagements.
Speaking engagements?
Yes. Last night at the Philco Dealers Convention, I gave a short talk entitled, You Can Have Fun. With the 1201.
This is for the Philco Dealers.
Yes. Then we had a rather spirited debate on whether the Philco television could be seen more clearly through a glass of beer or a highball.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
I handled the rebuttal for the highball.
Well, tell me, where else have you spoken?
Oh, I've been around. Last Tuesday, I was guest of honor at a chicken pluckers banquet in the Bronx.
Oh.
And Friday, I gave an exhibition at Roseland to plug my new picture, The Emperor's Walk.
At Roseland?
Yeah.
Gad, Bing, you are a busy man.
Oh, yes, tonight I may appear with Jack Eigen if I can find out who he is. Who is this Jack? You're going to tell me later.
Yes, I give you
What's
a plain field and Bing, I tell you what I'll do. If you'll let me make the picture of your life, I will tell you who Jack Eigen is. Honor bright.
Done, by George. How does your story go?
Well, of course, you're the star. The picture opens in 1925. We open in Spokane, Washington. You are 10 years old. The first scene is the living room of the Crosby home.
No bananas. We have no bananas. Oh, Bing. Yes, Ma? Is that you singing again? It's a new song, Ma. Yes, we have no bananas. Singing? You're always singing. Why aren't you ambitious like your brothers? But, Ma! Look at your brother Larry up at 4 o'clock every morning with his paper route. Yes, Ma. And brother Bob, the only boy with Western Union who owns his own bicycle. Yes, Ma. And little Everett working at the A&P. Why, every week Everett brings home $3 and all the groceries he can carry. Ma! You and your father are the only ones in the whole family not working. Sit down, Ma. I'll sing you a song. All right, Bing, but this is the last song today. Go ahead, son.
Gad Bing, what a scene.
You liked it?
That voice you had as a little boy. Tell me, when did your voice change?
The day Phil Spitalny made me an offer.
That was tough.
I wasn't discouraged, though, Fred. I packed my bag, borrowed Brother Bob's bicycle, and I left Spokane for New York.
Well, how old were you?
By the time I arrived in New York, I was 20.
Great. When did you get your first break?
Well, one day I went to my agent's office.
Yeah.
Hello, Rosie.
Oh, it's you again, Crosby.
Any bookings for me today, Rosie?
Look, Crosby, I only book talent. You ain't got none. Now pick up your rhinestone megaphone and skidoo.
But Rosie, with the megaphone, I can be another Rudy Valley.
Who needs another Rudy Valley? How's it going to look 20 years from now with 2 Rudy Valleys out of work?
But Rosie, I even had my eyes slanted.
Rosie, you gotta help us out.
Yeah, what's up, Al?
The Rhythm Boys are in trouble, Rosie.
You hocked your tuxedos?
No. Our baritone's sick. The doctor says it may be malnutrition.
Malnutrition? If that's an epidemic, I'm getting vaccinated.
Rosie, you gotta get us a baritone.
Wait, what about me, fellas? I can sing baritone.
Well, who are you? What's your name, kid?
Bing Crosby.
Bing, my name's Al Rinker. This is Harry Barrett.
Well, I'm glad to know you, fellas.
Well,
give me a chance with the Rhythm Boys, will you? I'll make good.
Okay, Bing. Do you know Bye Bye Blues?
Oh, sure.
Let's see what you can do. 1, 2. Bye Bye Blues. Bum, 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 bum. Bye Bye Blues. Bum, 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 bum. Bells ring, birds sing, sun is shining, no more pining. La da da doo la doo day, la da da doo la doo day, la da da doo la doo day.
Bum 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 bum.
Don't cry, bye bye. I said bye bye, mean bye bye blue. Bum 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 bum. Bing, this will be a high spot in the picture.
Well, I guess so. The day I joined the Rhythm Boys, I was on my way.
Well, what happened next?
Opportunity knocks with a sledgehammer.
Opportunity?
A man named Hooper invented the radio.
Oh, say, I remember Hooper. In the early days, Hooper was calling people up to see what they were listening to, and they were listening to each other. Well, Hooper fixed that. He invented the radio.
That's it. And when Hooper turned around, there I was with Ma Perkins.
Great, we'll have a close-up of your first sponsor looking out of a cheese.
Great.
Next, we'll show, you know how they do in pictures, show the wheels of a Greyhound bus spinning. You're on your way to Hollywood.
Oh, this is great.
Yes, this will be revolutionary. Tell me things, why did you go to Hollywood?
Well, I needed the money. I had a family to support.
A wife and children?
My brothers.
Your brothers? I thought they were the ambitious ones.
Things had been going against the boys, Fred.
Oh.
Larry lost his paper route.
And Bob?
Western Union had started those singing telegrams. That let Bob out.
Oh, naturally.
The only one working was Everett.
He was still with the A&P?
And doing rather well. Everett was bigger. He could carry more home, you see.
Bing, I've got it. An inspiration. Forget the family angle. The next scene is the Paramount studio. You're going into pictures.
Sounds great.
Cecil B. DeMille is directing Barry Fitzgerald in The Road to Dublin. As the scene opens, Cecil is introducing you to Barry Fitzgerald.
Barry, this is the front man for your picture, Bing Crosby. I'm glad to know you, Mr. Fitzgerald.
I'm the star of the picture. Frankly, I'm disappointed.
Disappointed in me, Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes, they promised me Buster Crabbe.
Well, Buster and I have the same initials.
And there's a resemblance ends. I don't think you do, Mr. Crosby.
Oh, but Mr. Fitzgerald, I can act.
Well, we'll soon find out. Now, take this script. I'll give you an audition.
Yes, sir.
The scene is a peat bog in Ireland. You are playing me half with its son. Now, let me hear you read your part.
Okay. Faith and the dar and the dabber and that sesty the god of the back of the shillady to you and the sashay second to Gaelian Fogaballa. How was that?
Terrible, I can't use you in the picture at all.
Why not?
you've got an Irish accent. You speak with a definite drawl.
But, Mr. Fitzgerald...
No. Where's Mr. DeMere? Crosby's out. Get me what's a class.
Please, Mr. Fitzgerald, before you get busted, give me one more chance. Maybe I can't act, but I can sing.
Well, we might be able to use a song in the picture. Let me hear you. Go ahead, sing, Mr.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Fitzgerald. In dreams I kiss your hand, madame, your dainty fingertips, and while in slumberland, madame, I'm begging for your lips. I haven't any right, madame, to do the things I do. Just when I hold you tight, madame, you vanish with the night, madame. In dreams I kiss your hand, madame, and I pray my dreams come true.
Thank you, Bing Crosby, for joining us tonight. Next week, I guess, will be Dr. Rocco and his farewell radio appearance for the season.